Burnout to Balance. Your 8-Step Guide to Thriving in a Messy Workplace, written by Andrea Gomez, registered nurse, BA in psychology. Dedication. To the employees and teams in every business, company, and institution where real change only begins at the top. Your determination, patience, and grit keep everything running, even when the odds feel stacked against you. This book is for every generation. Baby boomers born 1946 to 1964, Generation X born 1965 to 1980, Millennials born 1981 to 1996, and Gen Z born 1997 to 2012. You have pushed through crowded inboxes, late nights, and unspoken expectations while holding on to the hope that work can be better. May these pages remind you that you are not alone and that your well-being matters as much as any bottom line. Introduction. Feeling like your job is draining the life out of you? Tired of tiptoeing around messy office politics and bosses who just don't get it? Burnout to Balance shows ways to take back your energy with 8 simple steps. Inside these pages, you'll see how to read any workplace, set healthy limits, and keep your sanity no matter how problematic your shift or office may be. Whether you stick around or decide it's time to walk away, this book will give you the blueprint you need for a work life that doesn't leave you running on empty. You're not crazy, you're burned out. Let's start with a truth bomb. You are not the problem. And if you're reading this, chances are you've been made to feel like you are. Burnout is what happens when you spend too long carrying the weight of a job that was never designed to care about your well-being. Companies love to slap a mindfulness webinar or in-service on an institutional issue and call it a solution. But deep down, you know the truth. Something is off. And the people around you, whether it's your boss, your team, or just the culture itself, are making it worse. That's why this book exists. This won't be a workbook full of reflection exercises you'll never do. The person who will get the most out of this book has a real burning desire to change how they approach work, stress, and the never-ending grind. This is a shortcut to clarity. It's a quick way to recognize what's happening, control the narrative as best as you can, and mentally shift from barely surviving to actually thriving in your workplace. That's it. No magic formula, no overnight remedy. Just a decision to stop accepting burnout as the price of success and start figuring out how to live like a person instead of an overworked machine. If you believe balance isn't just something other people achieve, then you can picture what it feels like to have energy again, to wake up without dreading your inbox, to be productive without feeling like your soul is leaking out of your body. If that sounds good, keep reading. If not, come back when you hit your next breaking point. A bit about myself. For over 2 decades, I lived the highs and lows of being an intensive care unit nurse, monitoring vitals, juggling patient crises, and surviving on bad coffee and even less sleep, all because I preferred night shifts. But for the last 3 years, I traded my permanent post for the life of a travel nurse, bouncing between ICUs across Canada. And no matter where I landed, it was like déjà vu on a loop. Every unit had its cast of characters, different faces, same roles. The know-it-alls who couldn't resist holding court and offering unsolicited advice. The passive wallflowers just trying to survive the shift. The one everyone adored, probably because they brought snacks. And the one universally despised, probably because they didn't bring snacks. In every med room or break room, you could hear the whispers, someone always talking behind someone else's back. And the managers? Always women. Only women took on the role of managing a nursing unit because they had something to prove, that they were as competent as men. They were good enough to be in boss mode, but they didn't demand boss pay. So of course, it worked for the hospitals. Men rarely took these roles because they saw the workload, the stress, and the expectation to be available almost 24/7, and they knew better. When men did step into management, they demanded higher pay and clearer boundaries. No filling in endlessly for others. No working extra hours for free. no juggling responsibilities without compensation. Women, on the other hand, were expected to handle it all without question. They wore 2, sometimes 3 hats, barely keeping their heads above water while trying to keep the chaos on the unit in check and raising their own blood pressures in the process. This was the environment I was thrown into, time and time again. Not to make friends or build a career, but to clock in, earn my keep for a few months, and get out. The trick was always the same: read the room fast and adapt even faster. Blend in just enough to avoid being othered, but not so much that anyone expected me to stick around. Sometimes it worked until the end of the contract. Other times, it almost worked until the end of the contract. Either way, the effort it took to survive in these circumstances was exhausting, but I always managed, knowing it would be over soon. Just another ICU, another city, but the same stress on repeat. Picture this scenario. It's a short-staffed ICU on a bad shift. I walk in at the start of my shift, and the assignment is already a disaster. I've got 2 sick patients, one of them circling the drain, and the charge nurse is too busy to help. The staff nurses are all chatting with each other or in their rooms. I barely have time to assess my patients before one starts crashing, the family is demanding answers, and the pharmacy is taking their sweet time sending up the meds I needed 10 minutes ago. My body reacts exactly how it's designed to in an emergency. My heart pounds, my muscles tense, and my brain locks into high alert mode. I push through, make quick decisions, and somehow keep everyone alive. This is when I'm running on pure adrenaline. This is when the nurses around me, unbeknownst to them, are looking to be put into action. I have to use my voice, command, delegate, and get the help I need. And then, the shift ends. I give a report to the oncoming nurse, walk to my car, and tell myself it's over. I do box breathing so my body believes me. I recognize that I'm still wired, still tense, still carrying all that stress with me. But I know I have to let go. I don't want to snap at someone on the drive home or lie awake replaying everything that happened. That's how burnout builds. Not from one bad shift, one understaffed night, or one difficult patient, but from never being able to fully unload the weight of the job. Maybe you don't work in an ICU, but burnout is the same everywhere. The stress builds, the expectations pile up, and somehow you're just supposed to keep going. I want to help you see that and find a way to lighten the load. The 3 things you need to change quickly. Before we get into the 8 steps, there are 3 core ideas you'll need to know. Approachability versus credibility cues. This is the secret to influence. Whether you realize it or not, you're always signaling something: warmth, approachability, or competence, credibility. Get this balance wrong, and you'll either be overlooked, feared, or worse, disliked. Connection drivers. The ways people feel acknowledged and supported in a work setting. They explain why some people brighten up after a sincere thank you, while others prefer a helping hand, a coffee, a pat on the back, or a focused gab session. If your dominant connection drivers are ignored, burnout starts creeping in. Once you understand these, your work dynamics will start making a lot more sense, quickly. Let's start by acknowledging the stress that got you here in the first place. Chapter 1. Face your stress and its impact. Step 1. Recognize burnout for what it is. Job burnout is work-related stress that leaves you physically and emotionally drained. It can make you feel useless, powerless, or detached from your job. You might second-guess your abilities, struggle to focus, or feel like your work has no real value. Burnout is not classified as a medical condition, but it is a real problem that can lead to anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Some people experience it as extreme fatigue. Others feel stuck in a cycle of frustration and apathy, unable to find motivation no matter how hard they try. Research in neuroscience and psychology, including several studies published in journals like Biological Psychiatry and Nature Reviews, neuroscience revealed that burnout physically alters the brain. Long-term exposure to workplace stress impacts 3 main brain areas: Prefrontal cortex shrinkage. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making, focus, and impulse control, shrinks under chronic stress. This is why burned-out individuals struggle with concentration, problem-solving, and even basic decision-making. Tasks that once felt easy now feel like too much effort. Amygdala enlargement. The amygdala, the brain's emotional response center, becomes hyperactive when stress is constant. This means heightened anxiety, increased irritability, and an overactive fight-or-flight response. Small work stressors, like an email from your boss, suddenly feel like full-blown threats. Hippocampus damage. The hippocampus, which regulates memory and learning, also takes a hit. Burnout can lead to forgetfulness, difficulty retaining information, and an overall sense of brain fog. Ever found yourself rereading the same email 5 times and still not processing it? That's your hippocampus waving a white flag. The longer burnout persists, the more these changes reinforce each other. Your brain becomes wired to anticipate stress, making relaxation and recovery even harder. But the good news is these effects aren't permanent. When stress levels decrease, the brain has the ability to rebuild and restore itself. The interesting thing is that 2 people can face the same work conditions, but only one burns out. Factors like personality, past job experiences, and workplace culture all play a role in how burnout takes hold. Are you burned out? Ask yourself these questions. If any of these sound familiar, burnout might be at play. Do you struggle to start your workday and feel like you're forcing yourself to keep going? Have you started questioning whether your job has any value or meaning? Do you feel detached from your work, coworkers, or clients? Have you lost patience with the people you work with, or even dislike them? Do you lack energy and feel mentally foggy or unproductive? Does your work feel pointless, even when you are meeting expectations? Have you started doubting your skills and abilities? Are you relying on food, alcohol, or other distractions to cope? Have your sleep habits changed, or are you experiencing physical symptoms like headaches or stomach issues? If you are nodding along to even 1 or 2 of these, you're at your limit. The key thing to remember is that this is not just being stressed. It is a sign that your work situation is affecting your well-being in ways that cannot be fixed by pushing through. Why do some people burn out faster than others? Getting things done should be simple. You make a list, tackle each task, and move on. But modern life has a way of making even the most basic responsibilities feel tiring. There is always something demanding your attention, and no matter how much you accomplish, there is always more waiting. The problem is not just the workload, it is the expectation that you should always be able to handle it. That expectation is exactly what leads to burnout. You keep pushing, pretending your energy is limitless, until one day you hit a wall. You fall behind on tasks or feel that you have a never-ending to-do list. If you take an honest look at it, the exhaustion runs deeper. It is not just about your everyday stress. It is about how you have been conditioned to work. Your inner child and burnout. What you were taught about work. A lot of people don't realize that their relationship with work was shaped long before they ever had a job. For those raised on the idea that success comes from relentless effort, overworking feels less like a choice and more like gravity. The pressure starts early. School drills in the idea that productivity equals worth. The fear of not landing a job keeps you grinding harder than necessary. Once you have a job, the fear of losing it keeps you pushing further. Eventually, work and self-worth blur together, until one is impossible to untangle from the other. That's why burnout does not feel like a temporary setback. It feels like anxiety, depression, anger, and personal failure. But this is where the shift needs to happen. Burnout is not proof you are not working hard enough. It is proof you were never meant to work like this in the first place. The real culprit is the silent beliefs running in the background, whispering that slowing down is the same as giving up. This is why a vacation or a mental health day will not fix it. You have to go straight to the source, the beliefs that got you here in the first place. And that brings us to your inner child, the part of you that absorbed all those early lessons about what it means to be good enough. If your worth was tied to productivity, if you were praised for being helpful but made to feel guilty for resting, those lessons did not vanish when you grew up. They just found new ways to push you toward overwork, toward people-pleasing, toward defining yourself by how much you can do for others. For some, burnout does not show up as exhaustion. It arrives as numbness, as detachment. Instead of proving their worth through work, they disengage completely. The belief system shifts not to overcompensation, but to indifference. Yet, even this is often rooted in the same childhood messages. If constant effort only led to exhaustion or disappointment, the inner child might decide it is safer to check out entirely. Different reactions, same core issue. Whether it looks like working yourself into the ground or not showing up at all, burnout often traces back to those early, unspoken lessons about self-worth. And until those lessons get rewritten, the cycle does not stop. Flushing out the stress at work. Now that you know what burnout looks like, let's try to address the stressors that are adding to it and how to quickly clear out the yucky feelings while at work. You have to flush the stressors out. You have to move, breathe, laugh, or create. Anything that tells your nervous system the crisis is over and it can stop bracing for impact. Movement is the fastest way to clear stress because your body is built to deal with threats through action. You don't need to run 5 miles or lift heavy weights, just move. Walk around the block, stretch, shake out your arms and legs. Anything that gets your blood flowing helps your body reset. If that feels like too much, start with breathing. When stress kicks in, your breath gets shallow and fast, making everything feel worse. Slow it down. Try box breathing. Inhale for 5, hold for 5, exhale for 10, pause for 5. Do it 3 times and feel the shift. If breathing isn't cutting it, laugh. Not a polite chuckle. Not the fake kind you do when your boss makes a bad joke. Real, gut-wrenching, tear-streaming laughter. The kind that hijacks your whole body and leaves you gasping for air. Cats doing cat things on Instagram, it is! Laughter is a biological reset, built into us long before emails and performance evaluations turned everything into a grind. And if you can't laugh, make something. Write, paint, build something with your hands. Creativity gives stress a place to go. It doesn't have to be good, and no one has to see it. Just do something that isn't about work or getting the next task done. Did you know that humming, singing, or even gently gargling water stimulates the vagus nerve, which soothes stress responses? Why do you think there are so many people you've met at work humming while working? It only takes a minute or two and settles racing thoughts. Then there's the cold water reset. Splash cold water on your face, or drink a glass of ice water. The jolt can shift your body out of a stressed state and slow down a racing heart. With practice, you'll start to notice how different stress levels feel in your body. You'll know which days require more or less time, more or less effort, and what actually works for you. Flushing out the stress away from work. One way to keep workplace stress from tailing you home is to create small end-of-day rituals. Think of them as mental bookends that nudge your brain out of work mode and into something that resembles an actual life. Start with a firm clock-out routine. Close your laptop. Shut down the apps on your mobile phone that never stop giving you alerts. Toss your work phone in a drawer like it personally offended you. Doing the same small thing every day tells your brain, "That's it. We're done here." Your commute can also serve as a transition. Ditch the news and crime podcasts that leave you wondering if they solved the murder and swap them for music that lifts your mood. Or sit in silence for a minute, just you and your thoughts. No notifications trying to rope you back in. If your commute is short, spend 60 seconds in your car or at the doorway, breathing like someone who actually wants to unwind. Moving your body is another way to shift out of work mode. Take a walk, stretch a little, or do a quick workout. No need to go for a personal best. Just do a little exercise to break free from the tension that's been hitching a ride on your shoulders all day. Hobbies work wonders too. Read a chapter of a book that has nothing to do with your job. Pick up a guitar and play a few messy chords. Do some crocheting or knitting, or color in your adult coloring book. Journaling or brain dumping can also clear your mind. Scribble down any lingering tasks, worries, or reminders in a notebook. This takes them off your mental open tabs and keeps them on paper instead of taking up valuable mental space. Connecting with others is another way to separate from work. Text a friend who makes you laugh. Call someone just to talk about a ridiculous TV show. A conversation about literally anything other than work is a good thing. Setting a digital curfew helps reinforce the boundary between work and personal time. Set a daily cutoff for checking work messages and let teammates know you'll be offline at a certain time, barring emergencies. Your brain needs to know when it's allowed to stop being on high alert. And then there's sleep, the final frontier. A bedtime routine that doesn't involve doom scrolling is your best bet. Dim the lights, read something that won't raise your blood pressure, or do some relaxation exercises so your brain doesn't start replaying the day's disasters at 2 a.m. Putting some or all of these ideas into practice can stop the workday from creeping into your downtime. The trick is doing them consistently until your brain understands that work is done and you're allowed to enjoy the rest of your life. Next chapter. Understanding the root of your stress. Are you too warm to be respected or too respected to be liked? Chapter 2. Pinpointing the root of your stress. Step 2. Understand how you show up at work. By now, you've recognized that burnout isn't just a passing phase or a personal failure. It's a direct result of your work environment, your role in it, and the impossible expectations placed on you. The next thing you need to understand is why you're burning out and why the same patterns keep repeating, no matter how hard you try to adjust. At this point, most people start thinking the same thing. It doesn't matter where I go. You could leave, find a new job, even switch industries. But there's a sinking feeling that nothing will really change. At the heart of this issue is how you show up at work. Specifically, how others perceive you and how that perception shapes your experience. Whether you realize it or not, your coworkers, bosses, and even employee reports have already put you in a category. The problem is that those categories are often based on two competing factors: approachability, warmth, and credibility, competence. If you come across as too approachable, you might be well-liked, but you will struggle to be taken seriously. If you lean too much into credibility, you will be respected, but you might find yourself isolated or even resented. The balance between these two factors shapes your work relationships, your ability to influence, and ultimately, how much stress you carry. Balance looks like having influence without needing control, being able to lead, set boundaries, and earn respect without manipulating, dominating, or demanding. It means recognizing power dynamics without abusing them and knowing when to step forward and when to step back. A balanced person doesn't need to force obedience or seek constant validation. They understand that real authority comes from trust, not fear. Unlike those with antisocial, histrionic, or narcissistic tendencies, someone with balance doesn't see people as chess pieces to be moved around for their own gain. They don't need to win every interaction or drain others for attention. They can handle disagreement without seeing it as a threat. They value connection, but don't need to be the center of it. A balanced leader can delegate without micromanaging, correct without humiliating, and guide without controlling. They inspire rather than coerce. They set clear expectations, but don't expect blind obedience. A balanced friend or partner can express needs and concerns without manipulation. They don't twist reality to serve their own ego or demand constant praise to feel secure. In short, a balance of warmth and competence looks like being confident without being overbearing, assertive without being aggressive, and in control of yourself without needing control over everyone else. The Workplace Balancing Act. Approachability versus credibility. Let's break it down. Every time you walk into a meeting, answer an email, or interact with your team, you are sending signals about who you are and what people can expect from you. These signals fall into two broad categories. Approachability signals. These include friendliness, approachability, empathy, and a willingness to help others. Warmth makes people trust you and feel comfortable around you. Credibility signals. These include confidence, decisiveness, competence, and the ability to take charge. Credibility makes people respect you and see you as an authority. Ideally, you want both approachability and credibility. You want to be approachable, but also respected. You want people to like you, but also take you seriously. But the reality is, most people lean too far in one direction and end up suffering for it. The two burnout traps: too approachable versus too credible. Trap 1. Too approachable, not respected. If you lean too heavily on warmth, you become the dependable one, the go-to person, the workplace mom or office therapist. You listen when people vent, pick up extra tasks, and say yes when you should say no. You are seen as nice, but not necessarily strong. Here is how that plays out. You are overloaded with work because people assume you will always say yes. You are not given leadership opportunities because you are seen as supportive, not authoritative. You get talked over in meetings or ignored when decisions are being made. You handle emotional labor for the team, managing conflicts and soothing egos while others focus on their own work. Burnout for the too warm person comes from constant overextension. You are drained from solving everyone's problems while your own needs get pushed aside. There's a fine line between being approachable and being a human welcome mat. Some situations don't call for warmth, openness, or an inviting presence. Sometimes you need to close the door, literally and figuratively. Looking too approachable can backfire when the situation demands authority. A leader who always looks eager to please will struggle to be taken seriously. The same goes for anyone in a high-stakes environment where respect matters more than likability. There's a reason top athletes, CEOs, and military leaders aren't known for their friendly, wide-eyed expressions. They know that sometimes it's better to project confidence over accessibility. Then there are moments when you just don't want to engage. Maybe someone's making you uncomfortable. Maybe a coworker is dumping their emotional baggage on you once again. Maybe a close talker is creeping into your personal space. Whatever the reason, keeping your body open tells them, "Come right in." If that's not the message you want to send, shut it down. Cross your arms, angle your body away. Keep your responses short. People take cues fast. When it's time to shut things down and get out, a direct but neutral response works best. No over-explaining, no apologies, just a clear signal that the conversation is over. Here are a few ways to make your exit without making it awkward. "All right, I've got to get back to it," said while physically shifting away, gathering your things, or looking toward where you're headed. "I'll let you go." This flips the script and makes it seem like you're doing them a favor. "I need to take care of something real quick." Vague, but effective. Trap 2. Too credible, not liked. On the other end of the spectrum, if you lean too much on credibility, you're the expert, the authority, the one who gets things done. People respect you, but they don't exactly like you. They follow your lead, but keep their distance. Conversations with you stay mostly professional, and while you might be the one making the decisions, you're rarely the one getting invited out for drinks after work. Here's what that looks like. People follow your lead, but don't confide in you. You get results, but you're labeled as intimidating or too much. You're excluded from casual social interactions because you're seen as too serious. You're resented for enforcing standards, even when those standards are necessary. Burnout for the too credible person comes from isolation. You're respected, but don't have a real support system. You're left out of workplace camaraderie, making the job feel lonelier and more exhausting than it needs to be. The stress makes you feel like an outsider. There's a simple reason for this. When people don't feel like they know you, they assume the worst. If you don't engage in small talk, you're cold. If you're direct, you're harsh. If you don't laugh at someone's joke, you're too serious. The less approachable you seem, the more people project their own insecurities onto you. This doesn't mean you have to become the office clown or force friendships with coworkers you'd rather avoid. But an adjustment in how you behave can change how people perceive you. Start with how you interact. If your desk is a fortress of paperwork, clear some space. That stack of folders between you and a coworker? Move it to the side. The chair you're gripping like a life raft? Let it go. The phone sitting on the table, lighting up with notifications? Flip it over. Small things make a big difference. People notice barriers, even if they don't consciously register them. The more open your space, the more open you seem. Creative thinking flows more easily when the body isn't locked up. Shoulders tense? Drop them, arms crossed. Unfold them. Want to encourage someone else to open up? Hand them something small to hold, like a pen or a cup of coffee. Get them to engage physically, even in the smallest way. Conversations shift when people stop folding into themselves. Turn your body to face them and maintain eye contact with a relaxed expression. A strong presence in a meeting or presentation starts with how you use space. Standing in one spot the entire time makes everything feel stiff and controlled. Sitting behind a laptop creates a physical wall between you and everyone else. Stepping out from behind a desk, shifting position, or keeping your hands free for gestures makes the message feel stronger. A speaker who moves with purpose draws attention effortlessly. A speaker who clutches their notes like a lifeline looks like they're hoping to disappear. The difference isn't just in what's said, but in how it's owned. Finding the balance between approachability and credibility. Neither extreme is sustainable. If you are too warm, you get exploited. If you are too credible, you get excluded. The key is learning how to balance both. Here is what that looks like in action. If you are too warm, start reinforcing boundaries. Instead of automatically saying yes, start saying, "Let me check my workload first." If people come to you with personal drama, redirect them with, "I hear you, but I think this is something to bring up with manager's name." If you are too credible, soften your delivery. Instead of jumping straight to corrections or instructions, start with a simple, "I see where you are coming from." Make space for small talk and connection before diving into business. Use warmth to build trust and credibility to assert authority. If you start a meeting by acknowledging someone's contribution, people will be more receptive when you later take charge of the discussion. You don't have to water yourself down. Use both warmth and credibility to your advantage instead of letting them work against you. Be conscious of how people treat you and how much emotional energy you have to spend navigating workplace dynamics. The worst time to think about the things you're going to say is in the moment you are saying it. So practice your approachability and credibility cues in front of a mirror. Next chapter, Reading the Room. Who holds the real power in your workplace? Chapter 3, Learn to read the room. Step 3, pay attention to others' signals. Workplace politics shape everything, whether you engage in them or not. You'll be able to avoid most conflicts, or perhaps all of them, if you become a master at reading the room. You can tell who's invested in the office game by where they sit in a meeting, who speaks at the right moments, and who casually drops the names of people they're connected to. They nod at the right times, align themselves with the right people, and make sure they're seen doing it. The last chapter was about how you show up, how people perceive you, how they categorize you, and how that affects your stress. Hopefully, you've been practicing, making adjustments, balancing warmth with authority, and fine-tuning your presence so you don't get overlooked or steamrolled. Now it's time to read the room. Every workplace is packed with different characters. Some are obvious, like the ones who walk in and own the space without even trying. Others are quieter, but just as powerful. If you know how to spot them, you'll understand exactly what's happening around you, even when nobody's saying it out loud. Some people don't need a title to have influence. They move through the office like they run the place, not because they do, but because they know the right people. Maybe they're close with the boss. Maybe their last name carries weight. Or maybe they've built their reputation by always delivering, the person everyone trusts to get things done. When they talk, people listen. When they ask for something, They get it. People are careful around them. They hold eye contact a little longer, nod a little more. They don't get interrupted the way others do. It's not always obvious, but you can feel it. Then there are the ones who don't chase power, but somehow it lands on them anyway. They're the ones people turn to when things go sideways. When there's tension in the office, they step in before it escalates. Nobody asked them to, but nobody questions it either. They don't need a management title. Their influence is already locked in. People listen because they know they're fair. Some people don't care about peace at all. They just like knowing things. They track every workplace shift, every bad mood, every bit of tension, collecting office gossip like it's currency. They pass rumors through back channels, twisting stories just enough to serve their purpose. They pretend to be friendly, pretend to care, but their body language always gives them away. A little too much eye contact when they're listening, a shift in posture when they're storing information for later. If you watch closely, you'll see it. Some don't play office politics, but still manage to shake things up. They do their jobs too well. They know exactly how the company runs, sometimes better than the people in charge. Managers don't always like them because they can't be controlled. Nobody likes an employee who knows more than their boss. Coworkers respect them, but they don't always want to be near them. Manipulators keep an eye on them, waiting for a slip-up. They get passed over for promotions, not because they aren't qualified, but because they're too qualified. They make management nervous. Then there are the ones who push back on everything. They question policies, ignore dress codes, and refuse to play along. They're not always wrong. Sometimes they're the reason things change. They point out inefficiencies, challenge outdated ideas, and every now and then, they win. But winning doesn't always mean keeping their job. Even when they're right, they make people uncomfortable. They may be admired, but only from a distance. Some people spend their time watching. They don't have natural confidence, so they build it piece by piece. They study the people who lead, notice how they carry themselves, how they talk, and how they move. Over time, they pick up the cues, practice the habits, and become the kind of person who commands attention. Some take a different approach. They make a show of their work, performing for an audience, instead of just getting things done. They're always talking about how much they have on their plate, how late they stayed at the office, and how much they sacrificed for the job. Some of them actually work hard. Others just work hard at looking busy. Either way, they make sure everyone notices. Others play the same game, but in a different way. Instead of looking busy, they make themselves indispensable. They take on too much, refuse to delegate, and act like only they can hold everything together. They don't ask for help, but they complain about being swamped. They love being the overworked, exhausted one, because it makes them feel important. They'd love to let go of some responsibility, but what if no one notices how much they suffer? Then there are the ones nobody sees coming. They're overlooked, underestimated, and dismissed until they aren't. They aren't flashy, they don't self-promote, but they deliver. While everyone else is focused on networking and office politics, they're quietly making sure they can do the job better than anyone. People assume they'll always be in the background, and then, one day, they are either promoted or disappear to new job land. Some people move differently, depending on who they're with. They know how to read a room. Around leadership, they're sharp, engaged, full of ideas. Around their peers, they're relaxed, easygoing, maybe even a little gossipy. They shift based on what's required, blending in while still standing out. People like them, but nobody's sure who they really are. Then there are the ones you barely notice. They show up, do their work, and leave. No office politics, no unnecessary conversations. They're not unfriendly, but they're not trying to make friends either. They don't network, they don't insert themselves into drama, and they don't stay late unless absolutely necessary. Nobody dislikes them, but nobody really knows them either. Some don't want to be involved in anything, but they love complaining about everything. They hate the job, hate the management, and hate the way things are run. They complain about their workload, the pay, the meetings, and the coworkers. They're full of criticism, but they never actually leave. They stick around, grumbling to anyone who will listen, making sure everyone knows how much they hate the place. Then there are the ones who don't have to play the game at all. They're leadership's favorite. Maybe they're actually good at their job, or maybe they just know the right people. Either way, they're untouchable. Their mistakes are overlooked. Their ideas get extra attention, and their career moves faster than everyone else's. And then there's the lifer, the one who's been at the company longer than some employees have been alive. They know everything, how policies used to be, what leadership really means when they say something, which ideas have already been tried and failed. They can be a valuable resource, or they can be a roadblock, depending on how they use that knowledge. They sit in meetings thinking, I could have been in that seat. Instead of mentoring or adapting, they dig in, resentful of the fresh talent around them. The last type is the one who fights against everything but doesn't seem to have a real goal. They push back on leadership, challenge every new initiative, and resist every change. But it's not because they have a better idea. They just don't like being told what to do. Even when they make valid points, people stop listening because they argue about everything. These are the people shaping your workplace. Some will help you, some will try to use you, and some will work against you whether you realize it or not. The point isn't to slap a label on everyone, it's to know who you're dealing with. If you don't understand the roles people play, you'll waste too much time wondering why things aren't fair, why bad ideas move forward, and why some people rise while others get stuck. Reading the room means knowing what's happening before it happens. And in the workplace, that's how you stay in control. So how do you handle all these personalities? How do you work with the lifer who may resent you, the performer who oversells themselves, or the gossip monger looking for your personal details? You use what you've got, your approachability cues and your credibility cues. You're not going to win over everyone, but you can control how you're seen. The people with real influence, whether through power, experience, or connections, don't care if you're friendly. They respect competence. They respect people who know their stuff and don't back down when challenged. They can smell hesitation, and if they do, they'll assume you don't belong. Keep your posture strong, your voice steady, and don't fidget or over-explain. Speak with confidence, get to the point, and act like you should be in the room, because if you don't, they'll decide you shouldn't be. The gossip collectors, the ones who thrive on knowing everything before everyone else, don't need to see you as strong. They need to see you as harmless. You don't have to be their friend, but being just likable enough keeps them from turning on you. A well-placed nod, a casual joke, a moment of active listening, and they'll think of you as inoffensive, not a threat. That doesn't mean you trust them. It just means they'll find someone else to mess with first. The real workers, the ones who keep the place from falling apart, don't care about office politics. They care about who can actually get things done. These are the people who will vouch for you when it matters, so make sure they see you as both competent and easy to work with. Respect their time. Acknowledge their work. Get things right the first time. They won't sing your praises in public, but when leadership asks who they rely on, your name will come up. And the ones who just want to see you fail? Don't react. Don't engage in their power plays. Don't give them a reason to call you difficult, defensive, or dramatic. They want a reaction, and if you give them one, they'll use it against you. Stay steady, stay professional, and let them find an easier target. You can't control how everyone acts, but you can control how they see you. And in a workplace full of people with their own agendas, that's what keeps you one step ahead. When people decide to change how they show up at work, they usually overdo it. The overly nice ones suddenly stop helping anyone. The pushovers turn into steamrollers. The ones who used to dominate every conversation suddenly sit back and say nothing, convinced that silence equals power. It's a natural reaction. If you've spent years feeling like people walk all over you, the last thing you want is to make a small, polite adjustment and hope it works. No, you swing hard in the opposite direction. Take Mark. For years, he's been the guy who does everything without complaining. He stays late, picks up extra tasks, and lets his manager take the credit because that's just how things work. But one day, he looks around and realizes he's doing half his team's work while they're leaving on time without a care in the world. So he decides, no more. At the next staff meeting, instead of quietly nodding along, Mark cuts in. He calls out his manager in front of everyone, listing every time his work was passed off as someone else's. His voice is sharp, his body language stiff, his hands planted firmly on the table. His manager, thrown off, stumbles through an excuse. Nobody knows what to say. At first, co-workers respect the move. They tell him it's about time someone spoke up. But as the days go on, Mark notices something. People who used to chat with him by the coffee machine don't linger as long. Requests come through email instead of stopping by his desk. He's no longer invisible, but now he's unapproachable. He didn't mean for that to happen. He just wanted to be seen. So he adjusts. He still speaks up, but without the edge. He starts making his expectations clear before things get out of hand. No more taking on extra work without recognition, but no more calling people out in front of an audience either. This is what real change looks like. First, it's awkward. It's too much or not enough, and the people around you react. Then, after some trial and error, it evens out. If you've spent your career being agreeable, your first attempt at standing up for yourself might come off as too aggressive. If you've been the dominant voice in the room, your first attempt at stepping back might make you seem checked out. But people adjust. And eventually, you find balance. The point where you're heard, respected, and still someone people actually want to work with. Next chapter, finding your connection style. How can you connect with more people? Chapter 4, identify your connection. Drivers. Step 4, how you connect matters. People often don't realize why they struggle to connect at work. They assume it's just the workplace culture, their co-workers, or the industry itself. In reality, the disconnect usually comes down to mismatched connection styles. Some people walk into a room and instantly feel at home. They naturally build relationships in the office, while others find themselves on the outside, wondering why their efforts to engage aren't working. Everyone has their own way of feeling valued. Connection drivers explain how people feel seen and appreciated at work. Some need a heartfelt thank you, while others prefer a quiet favor, a spontaneous coffee, or a conversation where someone actually listens instead of nodding while checking their email. Each person has two main styles, and when those are overlooked, burnout sneaks in. When mental and emotional reserves are depleted, even the most basic workplace interactions start to feel like heavy lifting. Work stops feeling like a team effort when you're too busy chasing an impossible standard. You might sense respect, yet miss the feeling of being liked. The effort to consistently meet expectations leaves little energy for socializing. Over time, the isolation deepens, leading to resentment. Imagine you've been an employee who's always reliable, delivers results, and yet is never invited to after-work gatherings. You meet deadlines and have an inbox that is a black hole of responsibilities. The absence of connection isn't accidental. It's a side effect of burnout eating away at your ability to engage. Then there's the emotionally draining balancing act of looking competent while staying approachable. Where you used to use humor with ease, that well has run dry. When burnout enters the equation, that balancing act turns into a tightrope walk in a windstorm. Someone who once navigated office politics without breaking a sweat might feel drained just making small talk. Think about a coworker who used to be the go-to for advice. Now they cringe at hearing their own name in the hallway. The very credibility and warmth they spent years building start to slip away. And it doesn't stop at work. Personal relationships start feeling the strain too. A worker who used to be a great mentor or friend might start screening calls, canceling plans, and responding to texts with the enthusiasm of a brick. It's not personal, they're just running on fumes. What started as workplace fatigue turns into full-scale emotional withdrawal, a slow fade into numbness that no amount of self-care Sundays can fix. Recognizing how burnout disrupts connection is central to reversing its effects. The solution is to rework how energy is used in and out of work, so that real and meaningful connection, not just surface-level interaction, becomes possible again. As mentioned, some people bond through conversation. Others connect by doing things for people. Some prefer small, thoughtful gestures, while others just want you to show up, pay attention, and give them 5 uninterrupted minutes of your time. If you don't know how you connect, or how the people around you connect, you'll keep misfiring. You're going to waste time doing the wrong things. You'll assume everyone wants what you want. You'll offer help to someone who just wants recognition. You'll give a public shout-out to someone who would have preferred a quiet thank you. You'll bring coffee to someone who just wishes you would stop by their desk and have an actual conversation. If you are not paying attention, you'll keep misfiring. And the more you miss, the more disconnected your workplace relationships will feel. The key to improving workplace connection is understanding what actually makes people feel valued. And the first step is figuring out how you naturally express and receive appreciation. How do you connect? Action-oriented connectors. Some people feel closest to others when actions speak louder than words. They'll cover a shift, take something off your plate, or stay late to help, not because they have to, but because that is how they show support. If they need something from you, they probably will not ask. They expect people to notice and step in the way they do. You'll know who they are because they are always doing something for someone else. They do not waste words. If this is how you connect, you probably assume that offering help is the best way to bond with coworkers. Just be careful not to overdo it. Some people will happily let you take on extra work while giving nothing in return. If you find yourself constantly helping but rarely getting support, take a step back and make sure you are not just an easy target for delegation. Workplace example. You always take the late shift trades, cover shifts for coworkers, and step in when someone is struggling with their workload. You assume others will step up for you when you need it. But when the time comes, no one offers. This is a sign that while your connection style is through actions, you may need to set better boundaries. Recognition-driven connectors. Others connect through recognition. They want to be seen, acknowledged, and appreciated. A simple, "You handled that really well," means more to them than any favor. You'll recognize these people because they light up when their contributions are noticed. They are quick to encourage others, send thank you emails, and make sure people feel valued. If they seem disengaged or frustrated, it's usually because they feel like they are being overlooked. If this is your style, you build relationships by expressing appreciation and reinforcing confidence. Just know that not everyone thrives on verbal encouragement. Some people prefer actions over words and might find too much praise unnecessary or even fake. Pay attention to how people respond. If someone shrugs off compliments but always jumps in to help, they probably value effort more than words. Workplace example. A teammate just finished a difficult project and you send a company-wide email praising their efforts. They respond with a short thanks, but do not seem overly engaged. However, when you later offer to help them with a smaller task, they are much more responsive. This shows they value actions over recognition. Thoughtful gesture connectors. Some people build relationships through small, thoughtful gestures. They remember your favorite donut order, drop a sticky note on your desk with an inside joke, or bring in snacks just because. It's not about expensive gifts. It's about knowing what makes someone's day just a little easier. You'll recognize these people because they are always thinking ahead. If you forgot a charger, they have an extra. If you look tired, they will casually leave an energy drink on your desk. If this is how you connect, you probably assume others will return the favor, but not everyone picks up on small gestures. Some people appreciate them in the moment and then forget about them 5 minutes later. Workplace example. You bring an extra coffee for a coworker as a small act of kindness. They thank you, but do not reciprocate. Later, you realize they show appreciation differently, like offering to help with a task rather than bringing you something in return. Time-focused connectors. For some, connection comes from time and focus. They do not care about gifts, favors, or compliments. They just want your attention. No distractions, no half-listening, No scrolling through emails while they talk. You'll recognize them because they prefer face-to-face meetings over emails, invite people to lunch to talk through ideas, and check in beyond just work topics. If they seem distant, it's because they feel like they are being brushed off. If this is your style, you probably hate rushed conversations and surface-level interactions. Just keep in mind that not everyone engages this way. Some people do not have the patience for long discussions and prefer to keep things quick and efficient. If a coworker cuts a conversation short, it's not necessarily personal, it's just a different connection style. Leadership and connection styles. Managers and supervisors hold the keys to workplace connection. A good leader understands that employees aren't identical cogs in a machine. Some need a pat on the back, while others prefer a heavier workload and the trust that comes with it. The ones who assume everyone wants the same kind of attention usually find themselves leading a team that's mentally checked out. A manager who knows what they're doing will figure out what makes people tick. They'll praise the ones who like recognition, mentor those who want guidance, and hand real responsibility to those who measure their value in tasks, not words. The clueless ones? They watch the workplace unravel around them, missing every chance to keep employees engaged. How to recognize connection styles in others. Once you know your own connection style, you can start recognizing it in others. Watch how people interact. If someone always steps in to help but rarely speaks up, they likely value action over words. If a coworker constantly encourages others but never asks for help themselves, acknowledgement is probably what drives them. If someone seems distant, ask yourself if you have been overlooking their way of connecting. People tend to give what they want to receive. Someone who constantly brings in small treats or covers shifts probably appreciates it when others do the same for them. Someone who checks in on everyone else may be craving recognition in return. Paying attention to their behavior can help you understand what actually matters to them. Stop wasting time with the wrong approach. The whole point is to stop wasting time. Stop assuming everyone connects the way you do. If you like recognition, but your coworker values small gestures, then an email full of praise will not land the way a simple favor will. If you feel closest to people who give you their full attention, but your boss thrives on quick efficiency, don't take it personally when they cut a conversation short. Connection is about recognizing what actually matters to people and adjusting so you can meet them there. Now back to your manager or supervisor again. Understanding their leadership style starts with quiet observation. Who do they engage with? What kind of behavior gets rewarded? When do they actually tune in? Some only step in when there's a mistake. Others give all their attention to the people who shower them with compliments. A few care about nothing but results. Once you spot the pattern, you can start tilting things in your favor. If they respond to efficiency, make sure your updates highlight hard numbers. If they only notice the loudest voices, speak up at the right moments. If they like control, ask for their input in a way that subtly guides them toward your ideas. When connections end, turnover and letting go. Turnover happens, and it's not always a bad thing. People move up, move on, or just move somewhere else. Not every exit is a crisis, and not every resignation is a failure. Some people do not fit the culture, some underperform, and some probably should not have been hired in the first place. Losing those people isn't a loss, it's a reset. But sometimes, losing a coworker is more than just a staffing change. If you've ever had a workplace wife or workplace husband, that one close colleague you could always lean on, vent to, and count on for support, their departure can hit differently. These are the people who make the long shifts bearable, who finish your sentences in meetings, and who instinctively know when you need a laugh or a reality check. When they leave, it creates more than just a gap in workflow. It changes the feel of the workplace itself. Adjusting to their absence takes time. You might find yourself instinctively turning to their empty desk or drafting a message to them before remembering they are gone. It can be frustrating, especially if their replacement doesn't match their level of understanding or efficiency. But like any change, it offers an opportunity to build new connections. Someone else in the office may be feeling the same void, and shifting dynamics might create unexpected new bonds. While the loss of a trusted work ally is tough, it doesn't mean those relationships have to end completely. Staying in touch outside of work, even if it's just an occasional coffee catch-up, can help maintain that sense of support. And if nothing else, it is a reminder that work is always shifting, and the strongest relationships are the ones that continue beyond office walls. What matters more than retention is the quality of the people who stay. If your team is strong, engaged, and aligned with company values, then occasional departures are not a problem. They are just part of the process. A team that stays out of loyalty, growth, and shared purpose is always more valuable than one that stays out of habit, obligation, or fear of change. Next chapter. Approachability plus credibility plus connection equals decreasing burnout symptoms. Chapter 5. Putting it all together. Step 5. Combine what you've learned and use them on your boss and coworkers. So, everyone knows workplaces can be a mess. People compete for control, priorities shift constantly, and you're expected to keep up without losing your mind. It is like playing a game where the rules change whenever someone feels like it, and you are supposed to act like that is normal. You have already identified your connection style. You understand how approachability and credibility function in the workplace, and you've identified your connection style. Now, it is time to pull it all together and apply it in a way that actually works. Because knowing this stuff in theory is one thing, but dealing with a messy, chaotic workplace in real time is something else entirely. Leaders who are weak avoid decision-making, give vague direction, or refuse to step in when needed will leave employees feeling unsupported and frustrated. If they can't save the company money, they're fired, and a more competent leader with a mandate to cut costs and boost performance is hired. These turnaround managers often come with toxic leadership traits, such as aggression, ruthlessness, or disregard for employees, making them widely disliked despite their effectiveness. Figuring out their connection style early lets you position yourself as an asset, not a target. You can't fix the chaos at your workplace, but you can decide how to handle it. Remember, if you are too agreeable, people will pile work on you and expect you to smile about it. If you focus too much on authority, they will keep you out of important conversations. Finding the middle ground is about making sure you are not being taken advantage of or ignored. If you have ever watched someone dominate a meeting, you know that standing up to them outright is not always the smartest move. Some people push their weight around because they need control. Others are driven by a need for recognition. Instead of butting heads, figure out what they want and use it to make them more open to your ideas. Make sure you're heard without wasting energy on unnecessary battles. Toxic workplaces don't happen by accident. If bad behavior keeps happening, it is because no one is stopping it. If leadership ignores chaos, that's what you are going to keep getting. It helps to know when the problem is just a few difficult people and when the whole system is broken. If the culture is built on competition or favoritism, you are not going to change it by yourself. So, focus on creating stability where you can. Find people who value teamwork and make sure your contributions don't go unnoticed. Boundaries, too, are about protecting your time and energy. If you don't set limits, someone else will, and they won't have your best interests in mind. You need to know when to push back, when to say no, and when to step away from pointless drama. Outsmarting annoying coworkers without losing your sanity. Scenario 1. The chronic delegator. You've got a coworker who loves offloading their work onto others. They ask for quick favors that somehow always turn into major projects. Say yes too often, and you'll become their personal assistant. Refuse outright, and you'll be labeled uncooperative. The solution? Controlled availability. How to handle it? Next time they ask for help, give them a small time-limited offer. I can help for 15 minutes, but after that, I've got to get back to my own work. Turn it back on them. I'd love to help, but I've got a lot of work to finish. What would you suggest as the best way to get this done without pulling me in? Redirect. I can take a look, But I think Mark's actually the best person for this, since he handled a similar task last time. Scenario 2. The office gossip. Every workplace has someone who revels in drama. They'll corner you in the break room to dish about the latest scandal, and before you know it, your name is attached to a rumor. Engage too much, and you get dragged into the drama. Avoid them completely, and you miss out on useful workplace intel. How to handle it? Play dumb, act uninterested, and give vague responses. Oh, really? I hadn't heard anything about that. This signals you are not a willing participant. Change the topic entirely. Speaking of updates, have you tried that new lunch spot everyone's talking about? Steer the conversation to something harmless. Pretend you're too busy. Look at your phone, glance at your watch, or say, "I'd love to chat, but I need to wrap this up before my shift ends." Shut it down politely. If they bring up something inappropriate, say, "I try to stay out of office gossip. I don't want to assume anything about people." Flip the script. If they are gossiping about someone else, casually ask, "Oh, did you hear that from them directly?" Most gossip loses steam when confronted. Exit gracefully. If they won't stop, excuse yourself. "That's interesting. Anyway, I need to go check on something real quick." Then walk away. Scenario 3. The overbearing boss. Some managers cannot let go of control. They want constant updates, detailed reports, and to be copied on every single email. They hover, nitpick, and make it impossible to get through a task without interruptions. Push back too hard, and you risk looking defiant. Comply with every request, and you will never get anything done. How to handle it? Give them information before they ask. Send structured updates at set times. "Just a quick update. Everything is on track, and I'll send another summary at the end of the day." This reassures them without inviting more interruptions. Ask for clarity on expectations. Would you prefer a daily summary, or is a weekly check-in better? Giving them options makes them feel in control while setting boundaries on how often they check in. Make them feel included without over-involving them. "I've got a plan for handling this. If anything urgent comes up, I'll loop you in right away." This signals that you are on top of things and do not need constant oversight. Use decision fatigue to your advantage. If they insist on micromanaging everything, present multiple options and ask for a choice. "Would you like me to prioritize task A or task B first?" This forces them to pick one instead of hovering over both. Manage up. If they send excessive emails or requests, batch your responses into one summary email instead of replying every time. This limits the back and forth. Redirect their focus. If they keep nitpicking small details, shift the conversation to bigger picture priorities. "I know you are focused on this, but I want to make sure we are aligned on the overall goal. Do you have any concerns about the bigger picture?" Scenario 4. The passive-aggressive colleague. They never say what they mean directly, but they leave hints, sighs, and backhanded comments. Confronting them too directly can escalate tension, but ignoring them gives them the upper hand. How to handle it? Call out the behavior diplomatically. "I noticed you seemed frustrated in the meeting. Is there something we should address?" This puts them on the spot while keeping things neutral. Don't engage emotionally. If they make a vague, snarky comment, respond with, "Are you suggesting we take a different approach?" This forces them to be clear instead of hiding behind passive aggression. Make it clear you won't play the game. "If you have concerns, let me know directly so we can find a solution." This removes their ability to manipulate the situation. Use silence strategically. If they drop a passive-aggressive comment, let the awkward pause hang in the air. Sometimes their own words are enough to make them uncomfortable. Deflect their attempt to stir drama. "You seem to have strong feelings about this. What's the best way to move forward?" This shifts the focus from their attitude to problem solving. Stay professional and consistent. Passive-aggressive people seem to love emotional reactions. Keep your responses factual, calm, and direct. Scenario 5. The credit stealer. How to handle it? Claim credit in real time. "I'm glad this was helpful. I spent a lot of time on the research to make sure we got it right. Saying it with confidence keeps it from sounding defensive. Document everything. Follow up with emails summarizing discussions and decisions, making it clear who contributed what. As we discussed, I outlined the new workflow and attached the draft for review. Talk to leadership proactively. Before a meeting, send a brief update to key stakeholders. Looking forward to presenting the plan I developed for streamlining patient handovers. Now there's no confusion about whose work it is. Reinforce your contributions publicly. That was a great outcome. When I put together the original plan, I hoped it would go this smoothly. This reminds everyone where the idea started, without directly calling out the credit stealer. Address it privately if needed. If someone consistently takes credit for your work, say, "I noticed my contributions weren't mentioned. Moving forward, I'd like to make sure that's reflected." Some people don't even realize they are doing it. Others do and need to know you are watching. Scenario 6. The indecisive team member. You need a decision, but they keep waffling. Push too hard and they get defensive. Wait and you waste time. How to handle it? Give them a limited set of choices. Do you prefer option A or option B? Too many options overwhelm them, so narrowing it down makes it easier to decide. Set a clear deadline. Let me know by noon so we can move forward. This prevents endless delays and gives them a firm decision point. Apply gentle pressure. I know you want to get this right, and we can refine later. For now, let's make the best choice with the information we have. This reassures them that they don't need to be perfect, just decisive. Make the next steps clear. If they hesitate, break it down. We just need to pick the direction today. We can tweak the details later. Talk to your manager if necessary. If their indecision is stalling the entire team, escalate strategically. We are waiting on a final call before we can move forward. Should we proceed with the best option available? Scenario 7. The workplace saboteur. They actively undermine others, create confusion, and make teamwork harder. Call them out openly, and they'll deny everything. Ignore them, and they continue their antics. How to handle it? Keep a paper trail. Document everything: emails, meeting notes, and task assignments. If they try to twist the truth, you will have receipts. Stay calm and factual. Instead of accusing, ask neutral questions that force them to explain. I noticed the numbers were changed. Can you walk me through what happened? This makes it harder for them to dodge accountability. Get allies involved. Let's bring in a third person to clarify. Having a witness prevents them from rewriting history. Confirm everything in writing. Follow up verbal conversations with an email. Just to confirm, we agreed that you would handle X by Friday. Let me know if anything changes. Now they cannot pretend they did not know. Limit their opportunities for sabotage. If they constantly lose files, keep backups. If they withhold information, ask for updates in group settings so they cannot gatekeep details. Escalate strategically. If they continue disrupting work, bring your documentation to leadership. Frame it as a productivity issue. We keep running into miscommunications that are slowing down progress. Can we establish clearer accountability on this? Scenario 8. The Work Evader, Nursing Edition. This is from my own personal experience. As a nurse with over 20 years in various intensive care units, I have seen this character over and over again. This is the colleague who always seems busy, but somehow never actually does their share. They disappear when it's time to turn patients, are conveniently on break when a patient is crashing, usually theirs, or suddenly get swamped with charting whenever a difficult assignment comes up. Meanwhile, the rest of the team picks up the slack while they zone out. How to handle it? Create real-time accountability. Instead of letting tasks be loosely assigned, clarify who is responsible for what. Hey, we need to turn the patient in room 304 at 2 p.m. Can you cover that while I handle room 306? Saying it directly forces them to either agree or make an excuse in the moment. Be direct but professional. If they keep dodging responsibilities, call it out in a neutral way. I noticed you haven't been taking vitals on time for your assigned patients. Do you need help keeping up with anything? Use team-based reinforcement. In shift huddles or report, clarify assignments out loud so everyone is aware of who should be doing what. To make sure everything runs smoothly, let's confirm coverage. I'll handle dressing changes for 301 and 302, and you've got 303 and 304, right? Escalate if it affects patient care. If their behavior puts patients at risk or makes the workload unmanageable, relay your concerns to a charge nurse or manager. We need everyone pulling their weight because we are short-staffed. Can we review the workload distribution? Scenario 9. The chronically negative coworker. This person complains about everything, from management to office coffee. Their negativity drags down morale and makes even simple tasks feel unbearable. They rarely offer solutions, just endless complaints that make work feel heavier than it already is. How to handle it? Don't validate the negativity. Instead of agreeing or sympathizing, stay neutral. Yeah, that's tough, or I hear you, without adding more fuel to the fire. Redirect to solutions. If they complain about staffing, policies, or assignments, ask, what do you think would help? Chronic complainers often just want to vent, and this forces them to think about solutions instead of spiraling. Use humor to deflect. If they start another rant about how everything is awful, say, well, at least we've got free air conditioning. Or, if we survive this shift, I say we deserve an award. A little lightheartedness can disrupt their negativity without creating conflict. Be honest if needed. If their negativity becomes too much, be direct. I'm trying to stay focused on getting through the shift. Let's keep things productive. Sometimes they need to hear it outright. Set conversational boundaries. If they start unloading on you, cut it short. I've got to finish this task, but we can catch up later. Or, let's focus on getting through the shift first. Limit exposure. If possible, avoid getting stuck with them. If you're on the same shift or project, focus on your work and steer clear when you can. Scenario 10. The inappropriate commenters. Some coworkers treat your personal life like office gossip, making offhand comments about your body, relationships, or future plans as if it's up for debate. They disguise it as joking around, expecting you to laugh it off. If you ignore it, it keeps happening. If you push back, they act like you're overreacting. Worse, sometimes managers chuckle along instead of shutting it down. How to handle it? Set a boundary directly. Let's leave my personal life out of the conversation. A simple, firm statement shuts down the topic. Call it out in the moment. That's inappropriate. Let's keep things professional. Saying it calmly, but clearly removes any excuse for them to continue. Flip it back on them. Why would you say that? Or, what exactly do you mean by that? Making them explain forces them to confront their own behavior. Use humor to deflect if appropriate. Wow, you sure have a lot of thoughts on my life. Should I start charging you for updates? Sometimes a light pushback is enough to get them to back off. Document everything. If this is a pattern, write down dates, comments, and who was involved, especially if leadership ignores it. Escalate if needed. If it continues, take it to HR with your documentation. Repeated personal or body-related remarks can create a hostile work environment. How to use HR without getting burned. When dealing with inappropriate commenters or any other difficult coworker, if the behavior doesn't stop after you've addressed it, or if your manager participates or brushes it off, it's time to escalate. You have every right to work without being the target of inappropriate jokes. A toxic workplace thrives on silence, and speaking up sets the standard that you won't tolerate it. But here's the kicker. HR isn't your workplace therapist, and they're definitely not your personal advocate. Their job is to protect the company, which means they'll only step in when there's a legal or financial risk. That doesn't mean you should never go to HR, but you need to be strategic about when and how you do it. There are times when HR might actually help. If you're dealing with harassment or discrimination related to gender, race, age, or disability, they have to take it seriously to avoid legal liability. Retaliation is another situation where they will step in if you're punished for reporting misconduct, since that creates a legal risk for the company. Serious policy violations like fraud, safety hazards, or anything that could get the company sued or fined are also things HR cannot ignore. But there are plenty of issues they will not care about, and going to them too soon can backfire. If your boss is a micromanager, your coworkers are jerks, or the company culture is just toxic in general, HR is not going to swoop in and fix it. Unless an issue is affecting the company's bottom line or crossing into legal territory, they will likely side with management or brush it off. If you need to go to HR, you need to be prepared. Document everything. Keep records of incidents, emails, dates, and times. Without proof, it is just your word against theirs. When you bring up an issue, frame it as a risk to the company. Instead of saying, "My manager is making my life miserable," say, "This behavior is affecting productivity and morale and could lead to legal concerns." Staying calm and professional is absolutely essential. Emotional complaints get dismissed, but clear, fact-based reports get attention. Most importantly, know your end goal. Are you looking for mediation or a formal complaint? If you do not know what you want, HR won't either. And always remember to use HR as a last resort. If you can solve the problem professionally through direct conversations or strategic boundary setting, do that first. If that fails and the issue is serious, and your manager can't or won't help, then go to HR. Just go in prepared. Next chapter, Upping the Game. Chapter 6, The Everyday Art of Adaptive Messaging. Step 6, Adjusting your approach. We've established that balancing approachability, credibility, and connection is necessary for workplace success. You already know that you have to learn to read the room to have people trust, respect, and want to engage with you. But now, let's take it a step further. How do you apply this in different workplace scenarios, whether you're in charge or not? How do you use these techniques when the dynamics are complicated, when power is uneven, or when you're managing up rather than leading down? This chapter isn't about rehashing what you already know. Instead, we're going to apply these principles in ways that'll make a real difference in your day-to-day work life. We'll break this down into different roles and scenarios, such as managing a team, influencing peers, or trying to be heard in a room full of louder voices. My own experience. As a travel nurse working in intensive care units across Canada, I've dealt with all kinds of personalities. Some were great, some were awful, and a few left me questioning my decisions. None were as difficult as Nurse Cragglebutt, not her real name, though it fits. She was a textbook narcissist, a self-proclaimed expert on everything, holding court at the start of every shift while 3 or 4 captive junior nurses hung on her every word. She would sit there, coffee in hand, casually bashing doctors she deemed incompetent and not caring who might be listening. On my very first shift with her, I made the mistake of trying to subtly boost my own credibility, thinking that if I came across as knowledgeable, she would at least respect me. That backfired spectacularly. At one point, while helping her with a patient, I pointed something out. It was small, but enough to threaten her self-image as the ICU goddess. From that moment on, I was on her hit list. How dare I, a travel nurse, suggest something to her about her patient? For the next 3 weeks, I did my best to avoid her, but somehow she always found a way to be in my space, continuing her daily monologues and sermons with her captive audience around me, as if reminding me who ran things. I kept up my warmth cues, knowing my contract was temporary, but those were some of the longest shifts of my life. I couldn't stand the sound of her voice or the sight of her, and yet I played the game. She never knew how much I disliked her, and honestly, she didn't need to. What I should have done instead, looking back, I realize I could have made things easier for myself. I wasn't going to change her, but I could have avoided becoming her target. Instead of trying to establish my credibility, I should have just let her believe she was the smartest person in the room. Narcissists don't respect competence. They see it as competition. Instead of stating observations outright, I could have framed them as questions, making her feel like she was the one solving the problem. A simple, "I noticed this, have you seen that before?" might have saved me a lot of grief. I also should have redirected her monologues instead of enduring them. She loved an audience, but I could have nudged the conversation toward someone else. "Oh, you know who might have an interesting take on that? Insert junior nurse's name, was just telling me about something similar the other day." It wouldn't have stopped her, but it might have shifted some of the attention away from me. And when it came to her relentless need to hold court, I should have treated her like background noise instead of a workplace menace. Some people aren't worth the energy it takes to dislike them. Instead of letting her get under my skin, I should have mentally tuned her out. Oh, here she goes again. What I didn't do, confront her. That would have just fueled her ego. Try to win over her followers? They were already loyal. Report her? In a place like that, management wouldn't have cared. At the end of the day, I got through it. But I could have saved myself some stress if I had played the game differently to begin with. Not every situation can be fixed with better communication, but sometimes, knowing how to navigate difficult personalities can make the difference between barely surviving and getting through with your sanity intact. And if nothing else, at least I knew I would never have to see her again. Not every situation can be fixed with better communication. Sometimes the only solution is knowing when to leave. You can believe I've since learned how to deal with this personality type when I encounter them, because nursing has no shortage of people who think they're alphas when they're really just sad little betas. Sometimes, however, you can't leave. At least not yet, especially if you're not in a contract position. When you're an employee at a job, things are different. You might be tied to that workplace for financial reasons, career growth, or simply because you haven't lined up your next move. In these cases, the approach shifts from escaping to surviving. That's when adaptive messaging becomes more than just a tool. It becomes a lifeline. Instead of avoiding the problem, you have to figure out how to work around it, maintain your sanity, and still get what you need from your job. That means handling difficult personalities without losing your own credibility, setting boundaries without making yourself a target, and making sure you're heard even in an environment where others try to drown you out. When you're in charge, owning authority. Without losing connection, being in a team leadership position means walking the tightrope between being respected and being approachable. The best team leaders project authority without making people afraid to talk to them. If you lean too hard into credibility, you might seem cold or unapproachable. If you overemphasize connection, people may not take your directives seriously. The goal is to balance both periods. Example: managing a high-performing but stubborn employee. Imagine you have a team member who is talented but resistant to feedback. You need to correct their behavior without crushing their confidence. Bad approach. You need to change how you present your data. It's unclear, and the leadership isn't happy. Better approach. Your analysis is solid, and I can see the effort you've put into it. To make it even stronger, try framing it from leadership's perspective and leading with the key takeaways up front. Let's collaborate to polish it further. The second approach maintains credibility. You're still offering feedback, while using approachability and connection to ensure the employee remains open to change. Example: running a meeting that people actually listen to. A common leadership mistake? Talking too much. If you dominate every conversation, people tune out. Instead, try a mix of authoritative statements and open-ended questions. Instead of, "We need to increase efficiency by 10% this quarter. I expect reports by next week." Try, "We're aiming for a 10% efficiency increase this quarter. What roadblocks can you see, and how can we work around them?" The second approach invites engagement while still establishing direction. People respect authority when they feel heard. Example: handling resistance to change. Team leadership often requires pushing for innovation while dealing with resistant team members. Instead of bulldozing over objections, try positioning change as an opportunity rather than a disruption. Less effective. This is the new system. Get used to it. More effective. I know switching to a new system can be frustrating, but this will cut reporting time in half, giving us more room to focus on higher-level projects. Let's go through the biggest concerns together. This approach acknowledges concerns while reinforcing the benefits of change, ensuring a smoother transition. Case study: managing a dysfunctional team. Imagine you inherit a team that lacks cohesion. Meetings are unproductive, deadlines are missed, and there's noticeable tension. Instead of imposing strict policies immediately, apply adaptive messaging. First observation phase. Spend the first few weeks identifying key players, problem areas, and informal influencers. 2. Reframing conversations. Instead of pointing out failures, highlight team strengths and ask, what's worked well for you in the past? 3. Collaborative planning. Get team members involved in defining improvement tasks, making them feel ownership over the changes. By balancing authority with approachability, you increase buy-in and build trust while still asserting leadership. When you're not in charge, influencing without power. Maybe you're not leading a team, but you still need to make an impact. Strengthening your presence when you don't have formal authority is about leveraging credibility and connection in ways that make people want to listen to you. Example: convincing leadership to implement your idea. You've got an idea that could improve efficiency, but you're not the decision maker. You can't just walk into your boss's office and demand change. Ineffective approach. I think we should automate this process. It would be faster. More effective approach. I've noticed that manual processing takes about 2 extra hours per employee per week. If we automate this, we could save around 80 hours a month across the team. Would it be possible to explore a pilot version to test the impact? What changed? You led with credible data instead of just stating an opinion, framed it in a way that aligns with leadership's priorities, and left room for a collaborative discussion. That's how you gain influence without formal authority. Example: handling a difficult colleague. Maybe you work with someone who constantly interrupts you in meetings or dismisses your contributions. You can't force them to respect you, but you can strategically reclaim your presence. Option 1. Assertive reframing. If someone interrupts, that's an interesting point, but before we move on, I'd like to finish my thought. Option 2. Leveraging allies. If your voice is constantly drowned out, connect with a respected colleague beforehand. I'd love your support in backing up my points during this meeting. I think it'll help our case. Both methods subtly shift the power dynamic without creating unnecessary conflict. Power dynamics in cross-departmental collaboration. When working across teams, it's easy for initiatives to stall due to competing priorities. To navigate this: 1. Understand incentives. What does each department value? Frame your ideas in a way that aligns with their goals. 2. Build purposeful partnerships instead of demanding. Collaboration, offer value. If we align on this, it'll streamline your reporting process as well. 3. Follow through. Credibility builds when others see you as reliable and getting results. The role of body language and tone. People don't just listen to what you say, they pick up on how you say it. Strengthening your presence means recognizing how you carry yourself. Quick fixes to improve your presence. Slow down. Nothing says, I have no idea what I'm talking about, quite like racing through your words like there's a fire drill. Slow down. Let people catch up. Speaking at a steady pace makes you sound confident, like someone who actually believes what they're saying. Pause for effect. People fear silence like it's a haunted house. But here's the thing. A well-timed pause is pure magic. It makes people listen. It gives your words weight. The difference between an amateur and someone who owns the room? Knowing when to be silent for a second. Stand or sit up straight. Want to look like you don't care? Slouch. Want to look like you have a clue? Straighten up. Posture is free, and yet it's one of the easiest ways to project confidence. Good posture also helps you breathe better, so your voice doesn't sound like you just ran up the stairs. Use deliberate gestures. Ever watch someone flail their hands like they're directing airplane traffic? It's distracting. On the flip side, stiff arms make you look like a robot. The sweet spot is using purposeful, controlled palms-up gestures that emphasize your point and make you look honest. Modulate your tone. You could be delivering the most electrifying message of the century, but if you sound like a droning dishwasher or nasally, no one will care. Mix it up, get louder, get softer, speed up when it matters. Let your voice have some personality. No one ever walked away from a talk saying, "Wow, I just loved how monotone that was." Final thought. The truth about asking questions. You've heard it before. There are no dumb questions. Cute. Sounds like something you'd see in an office break room next to a hang-in-there poster with a cat barely clinging to a branch. But in reality, ask the wrong thing at the wrong time, and suddenly people are wondering how you even got hired. Still, the real embarrassment isn't asking a so-called dumb question. It's not asking, nodding along like you understand, and then walking straight into a disaster you should have seen coming. Nothing reveals a lack of preparation and credibility faster than fumbling through something you could have clarified. However, if someone already answered your question and you just weren't paying attention, now it's not about being uninformed, it's about proving you don't respect anyone's time. That said, don't let overthinking turn you into a silent spectator. Being thoughtful when you ask questions is one thing. Never speaking up at all is just self-sabotage. Next chapter, staying in the same position for way too long. Chapter 7. The lull of complacency. Step 7. Staying at the job out of fear. Many workplaces introduce initiatives to address toxic environments. In hospitals and other places, they appoint a chief wellness officer, roll out stress management programs, and slap some policies together to show they care. They will hold town hall meetings, send out surveys, remind everyone about the Employee Assistance Program, and give staff guided meditation in services they hope will erase years of dysfunction. But they know the truth. Policies don't change culture. Leadership does. And most of the time, top leadership isn't actually interested in change. They just want to look like they are. Take the Chief Wellness Officer, a title that sounds promising but often means nothing. They get tasked with promoting well-being, but if leadership doesn't back them up with real structural change, such as better staffing, proper workloads, and actual consequences for toxic behavior, then it's just another meaningless role. The same goes for stress management programs. Sure, yoga, deep breathing, and journaling might help individual employees cope, but they don't fix the real problems. No amount of mindfulness will make up for a department that is perpetually understaffed, a manager who plays favorites, or a culture where speaking up with credibility gets you labeled as difficult. A recent paper, Identifying and Eliminating the Toxic Work Environment in the Clinical Setting, a narrative review by Daniel C. Eisner, August 2024, makes it crystal clear. No standardized, evidence-based protocol currently exists to effectively transform toxic workplaces into healthy ones. The forces that keep a workplace toxic, such as power imbalances, bad leadership, and resistance to change, are not easy to undo. That's the part no one likes to admit. Fixing a broken workplace takes more than a motivational email from the CEO. It takes accountability, a willingness to fire problematic leaders, and actual investment in employees' well-being. Most companies will not do that unless they are forced to. If the supervisor, manager, or whatever title the boss at your job has is locked in on tasks, deadlines, and saving the company money, they are kept on. They follow the department head's orders, check the right boxes, and push for results. But in doing so, they often miss building trust with their team, which could be the cause of a toxic work environment. They stay because they keep the bottom line in check. Upper management sees financial stability, cost-cutting, and efficiency, so they turn a blind eye to the damage being done to morale. The company would sooner get rid of its troublesome employees than a manager who is not well liked but saves them money. Staying in a burnout-inducing job is what happens when weariness becomes so routine that even the thought of something different feels exhausting. Change will never come from your messy workplace if it's not mandated. The spark that once made someone ambitious gets replaced with a dull sense of obligation. Instead of planning for the future, people shrink their world to what is right in front of them. They wake up, go to work, come home, and repeat the cycle like a loop they cannot break. Long-term goals disappear because surviving the present takes all their energy. Let's talk about comfort zones. More specifically, let's talk about how they lull you into a false sense of security while quietly smothering your potential like a weighted blanket that's just a little too heavy. Comfort zones feel nice, safe, predictable. No sudden movements, no unnecessary risks. And yet, that same comforting stability is often the very thing that keeps people stuck. Stuck in careers they don't love, working for bosses they barely tolerate, surrounded by the same dysfunction day in and day out, all because taking a step in any other direction feels like too much trouble. Now, let's add a little irony to the mix. You've been twisting yourself into knots, trying to figure out how to navigate a toxic work environment, balancing approachability, credibility, and connection cues like some sort of circus contortionist. You've spent time analyzing office politics, dodging egos, and strategically deciding when to speak up and when to let things slide. You've played the game, refined your reputation, and proven you're a team player. But here's the kicker. While you've been busy making sure Bob from accounting doesn't feel threatened by your competence, and Jan from HR still likes you enough to process your requests in a timely manner, artificial intelligence has been steadily creeping in, learning how to do your job. And it doesn't need to worry about approachability cues. Fear is usually what holds people back from thinking about leaving their workplace. You think this job was hard to get, it pays the bills. What if I try something new and fail? What if I make a mistake? What if I put myself out there and get rejected? What if I run into the same toxic people? That fear is so convincing it stops you from seeing the greater risk, staying in the same place while everything else moves forward. Before you know it, months, maybe years have passed, and you're still in the same position, watching other people get opportunities that could have been yours. And those other people, probably the ones you don't like, learned new skills. They adapted. They didn't just sit around waiting for someone to hand them a better future. Here's the reality. Workplaces are always changing. Industries shift. Companies restructure. Technology advances. If you're doing your job the exact same way you did 5 years ago, there's a good chance you're already falling behind. Companies want people who innovate, adapt, and take initiative. If you're coasting at a messy workplace, you're making yourself replaceable. The people who grow in their careers are the ones who take risks, even when it's uncomfortable. This is especially true as artificial intelligence and automation reshape the workforce. A recent McKinsey study, July 2023, predicts that by 2030, as much as 30% of hours worked in the U.S. could be automated. The biggest disruptions? Office support, customer service, and food service. If your job involves repetitive tasks, data collection, or routine processing, the risk of being replaced by technology is real. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up to the fact that playing it safe might not be safe at all. A lot of people assume automation only affects manufacturing jobs, but that's not true anymore. AI is creeping into professional and knowledge-based jobs too. Legal assistants, financial analysts, even writers are seeing parts of their work automated by AI-driven tools. While these advancements can boost efficiency, they also mean workers have to adapt to stay relevant. There are well-researched, calculated risks that help you move forward without throwing everything into uncertainty. There are risks where the potential for success outweighs the possibility of failure. Taking a risk doesn't mean you've got to quit your job tomorrow without a plan. It just means you need to be open to opportunities and willing to push yourself beyond your current limitations. Start by figuring out what excites you. If something at work piques your interest, tap into that. Maybe there's a project you want to take on or a skill you want to develop. Get the company to pay for it. Look for ways to get involved and expand your knowledge. Start small if you need to. Speak up in meetings, volunteer for leadership opportunities. Take on a challenge that pushes you just a little out of your comfort zone. Growth happens when you stretch yourself, even just a little. Another way to take smart risks: do your homework. If you want to pitch an idea, ask for a raise or switch careers. Gather as much information as possible before making a move. Confidence is good, but data's better. Show that you understand the bigger picture, you've thought through possible problems, and have a plan for success. That McKinsey report also highlights that job demand's shifting due to investments in infrastructure and clean energy. Jobs in healthcare, STEM fields, and skilled trades are expected to grow, while positions in administrative roles, retail, and routine services will decline. That means the best risks are the ones that align with future job growth. If you're thinking about a career shift, focusing on industries that are set to expand can help make sure your risk pays off long term. So while you're caught up in navigating your toxic work environment using approachability, credibility, and connection cues, keep in mind that you may need to be at the front of the line when AI comes knocking. Your ability to handle difficult coworkers won't mean much if your job disappears altogether. The real issue isn't just figuring out how to make it through another tiring workday. It's making sure you're still needed in the long run. And if your workplace is already making you miserable, maybe AI taking over isn't the worst thing after all. The world's moving forward faster in 2025, whether you like it or not, and you need to move with it. Imagine coworkers who never burn out, never need a coffee break, and adapt faster than your boss changes priorities. Those are AI agents. These systems don't just automate tasks. They watch, learn, and make decisions, reshaping entire industries while you're still stuck in another pointless Zoom meeting. AI agents take the job of humans. The real question is, are you going to be evolving with the role of AI, or just hoping you'll still have your job? Hope is not a strategy. Which jobs will AI actually replace in 2025 to 2026? High levels of data processing, structured problem-solving, and repetition are associated with the highest-risk jobs, such as bookkeepers. Jobs like receptionists, telemarketers, call center operators, and even some programming roles fall under this category. Artificial intelligence, AI, tools can already perform many of these tasks faster, and it is expected that these tools will gain popularity in industries such as customer service and logistics. Which jobs will disappear by 2040? The development of AI and robotics may cause a decline in manual labor-intensive jobs by 2040, including those of machine assemblers, postal workers, and even farm laborers. Self-service technology, automated agricultural equipment, and AI-assisted logistics are reshaping these professions. Creative roles like screenwriters and journalists could also be affected as AI tools gain capabilities in content creation and ideation. What jobs will exist in 10 years? By 2025, AI is expected to create approximately 2.3 million jobs, fundamentally transforming the job landscape. Jobs in robotics, cybersecurity, AI development, and human-AI cooperation will all be in high demand over the next 10 years. It's likely that new roles in healthcare will arise, such as data analysts, medical practitioners supported by AI, and ethics experts. As businesses search for experts who can decipher and oversee AI models, new roles focused on AI oversight and development will also emerge. Specific positions are emerging to address various aspects of AI implementation. AI trainer, curator. These professionals curate and refine datasets that AI models learn from, ensuring they are comprehensive and unbiased. They train, test, and validate AI to perform tasks accurately, requiring a blend of technical skills in data science and machine learning, along with a strong understanding of the specific domain where the AI will be applied. AI ethicist and legal advisor. As AI systems become more prevalent, there's a need for experts who can ensure these technologies are developed and used responsibly. AI ethicists guide the responsible development and implementation of AI technologies, while legal advisors address compliance and regulatory concerns related to AI deployment. Chief AI Officer, CAIO. Senior executives responsible for shaping and overseeing an organization's AI strategy. They ensure that AI initiatives align with business goals and drive the development and integration of AI technologies across departments and teams. CIOs often oversee cross-functional teams, requiring strong leadership skills, an understanding of business strategy, and technical expertise. The demand for AI-skilled professionals is not limited to the tech industry. Financial institutions, for example, are aggressively hiring AI talent to enhance and modernize their technology infrastructure. Goldman Sachs recently appointed Daniel Marcu, formerly a vice president at Amazon, as its global head of artificial intelligence engineering and science, aligning with the bank's strategy to leverage AI for technological advancement. Next chapter, Knowing When It's All Been Too Much. Chapter 8, The Clean Break. Step 8, Saying goodbye on your terms and perfecting your resume. The art of leaving is not in the exit itself, but in the courage to walk through the door. This chapter is about recognizing when it's time to go. You've tried all the helpful advice in the previous chapters, and you still feel burned out. How do you know it's time to leave? If you've been daydreaming about quitting, playing out the moment when you walk away like a movie montage, or secretly hoping for a layoff just so you don't have to make the decision yourself, that's a sign. Still, it's easy to second-guess yourself. Maybe your job isn't that bad. Maybe it's just a rough patch. Maybe you can wait it out. But how long have you been telling yourself that? You physically feel sick thinking about work. Headaches, stomach issues, anxiety spikes every Sunday night with your body waving a red flag. Your confidence has taken a hit. You used to feel competent, but now you second-guess yourself over the smallest things. Or it's hard to summon the warmth necessary to be liked. The guilt and anxiety of walking away. It's wild how people can hate their jobs and still feel guilty for leaving. You're exhausted, mentally checked out, maybe even feeling sick just thinking about work. Yet the idea of walking away makes you hesitate. Who will handle your workload? What will your team think? Will everything fall apart without you? It won't. Your coworkers might miss you, but they'll figure it out. If you're worried about leaving them in a tough spot, ask yourself this: would they stay for you? If they had a better offer or an escape route, would they delay their exit to make sure your workload stayed manageable? Probably not. And that's okay. They'd do what's best for them, just like you should. Then there's the nagging thought that quitting means you're giving up. That idea is outdated. People move on from jobs all the time. Workplaces change. What was once a good fit might no longer be. Staying somewhere that drains you just because it feels like the right thing to do isn't loyalty, it's self-sabotage. Maybe what's really holding you back is the fear that the next job might be just as bad. It's easy to convince yourself that leaving isn't worth the risk, but staying in a place that already makes you miserable out of fear of the unknown doesn't make sense. It's like refusing to step off a sinking boat just in case the next one isn't perfect. The difference is that this time, you can choose more carefully. You can look for warning signs, ask the right questions, and trust that you're wiser for having endured a tough situation. At the end of the day, companies replace people all the time. Management moves on. The only person who has to live with the long-term effects of burnout is you. If leaving feels selfish, remind yourself that your health, peace of mind, and career matter more than a job that would have a new hire in your seat by next week. Walking away isn't failure. It's making a decision that puts you first. How to prepare. The art of leaving gracefully. Leaving a job, even a toxic one, isn't something you do without a plan. Walking away from a paycheck without a financial setup can turn relief into a new kind of stress, so making sure your finances are in order before you leave is important. Ideally, you want 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. Not some fancy emergency fund with a clever name. Just a stack of cash that gives you room to breathe. Even a few $100s saved here and there can give you some breathing room while you figure out your escape. Cutting unnecessary expenses like forgotten subscriptions, unused memberships, or impulse spending can help redirect money into your savings. And since job searches can take longer than expected, it's smart to consider backup income options, whether that's freelancing, consulting, or a temporary side hustle to keep money coming in while you scope out a better position. Once your finances aren't hanging over your head, make sure you aren't running from one problem straight into another. A new job should be a genuine upgrade, not just a new set of walls. Research a new job like a pro. Look at the company website. Read past the buzzwords. Sure, start with their website, but don't treat it like a glossy brochure. Look at the mission statement, values, and job listings. Are they dodging details about pay, work-life balance, or expectations? Red flag. Check the blog and news section. Do they highlight employees and diversity efforts, or is it all about profits and leadership changes? The tone says a lot about priorities. Google News. Follow the headlines. Run the company's name through Google News. Are they making headlines for layoffs, lawsuits, or scandals? Or are they growing, innovating, and getting recognized for good work? Press releases can be revealing too. Constant leadership shakeups or restructuring screams instability. Social media. The unfiltered truth. LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook show how a company presents itself and how it interacts with the world. Are they celebrating employees and engaging with customers, or just spitting out corporate nonsense? Look at how they handle criticism. Ignoring or deleting negative comments instead of addressing them is a bad sign. Employee reviews. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Glassdoor, Indeed, and InHerSight are goldmines for real employee feedback. Read the comments. One bitter review, maybe a grudge. A pattern of complaints about burnout, micromanagement, or leadership chaos? Believe it. Google reviews. How they treat customers matters. Unhappy customers usually mean unhappy employees. If people are complaining about bad service, poor communication, or shady practices, that negativity often trickles down to staff. Pay attention to how the company responds. Defensive and dismissive? That attitude likely extends to employees too. LinkedIn. Stalk smartly. Look up current and former employees. Are people sticking around, or is it a revolving door? Check out your potential boss. Do they seem experienced and well-connected, or are they bouncing from job to job? You can even reach out for an informational chat. Most people are happy to spill the truth. Follow the money. If it's a public company, check Google Finance or Crunchbase for revenue trends, stock performance, and funding history. Growing companies usually mean more opportunities. Struggling companies mean budget cuts, hiring freezes, and stress. Know the industry. A good job in a dying industry isn't a good job. Remember to ask yourself if AI is coming for your job. Research trends, competitors, and challenges. Tools like SimilarWeb can show how the company stacks up. You want to join a rising star, not a sinking ship. Upgrade yourself. That means sharpening your skills and making yourself as marketable as possible. If there are certifications or training programs that could give you an edge, start by identifying the skills and certifications that are in demand in your industry. The key is to stay ahead of the curve and continuously invest in your professional development. These days, ambitious professionals are flocking to online learning platforms to beef up their skills without emptying their wallets. And flock they are. Massive open online courses, MOOCs, have enrolled over 220 million learners globally, effectively turning the internet into the world's largest and cheapest campus. Major platforms each have their strengths and quirks. Coursera partners with top universities for high-quality academic-grade content, even full-degree programs. But its rigor and occasional hefty price tags aren't for everyone. LinkedIn Learning, nay, lynda.com, shines for professional development with polished business, tech, and creative tutorials integrated into your LinkedIn profile, though most of its catalog sits behind a subscription paywall. Meanwhile, Udemy offers an enormous bazaar of courses on virtually any skill at bargain basement prices. A paradise of variety tempered by Wild West quality control courses range from brilliant to seriously. Beyond the big names, plenty of lesser-known platforms can supercharge your skills on a budget. The nonprofit EDX, for instance, lets you audit courses from Harvard or MIT for free. Ivy League knowledge without the Ivy League bill. Allison, an Irish platform, provides thousands of courses across industries at no cost, with optional paid certificates. Niche communities like Free Code Camp even offer full coding curricula completely free of charge, while sites like Skillshare cater to creatives via low-cost subscriptions. In short, whether it's learning Python or polishing your public speaking, these resources help you stay as competitive as that know-it-all intern without having to remortgage your future for yet another degree. Creating a resume that doesn't put people to sleep. Hiring managers don't read resumes. They skim them while juggling emails, calendar invites, and a half-empty coffee cup. If your resume doesn't grab attention in those first few seconds, it's lost. Your resume and LinkedIn profile should showcase your accomplishments, not just list your responsibilities. Many times they read like a laundry list of job duties: managed projects, worked cross-functionally, collaborated with teams. Yawn. If your resume sounds like a job description, it's missing the mark. The best way to stand out is to have a resume that's easy to read, filled with relevant details, and designed to get past resume scanning software. Here's how to do it right. Start with the why. Before thinking about formatting or fonts, ask yourself, why should someone hire me? What unique value do I bring? What problems can I solve? Your resume should answer these questions in a way that is clear, strong, and impossible to ignore. For example, instead of saying, managed cross-functional teams to deliver projects on time and within budget, try this. Led a team of 12 across marketing, engineering, and design to launch a new product feature, resulting in a 25% increase in user engagement and $1.2 million in additional revenue. The difference is the second version tells a story. It shows impact. It makes the reader think, this is someone we need. Nobody cares that you managed projects or worked cross-functionally. They care about what you accomplished. Did you save the company money, increase efficiency, drive revenue, improve customer satisfaction? Those details belong on your resume. Ways to reframe your experience. 1. Use numbers. Metrics stand out. Whenever possible, quantify your achievements. Instead of improved customer satisfaction, try increased customer satisfaction scores by 15% within 6 months by implementing a new feedback system. 2. Show the outcome. Focus on the end result of your work. What changed because of your efforts? Instead of developed marketing campaigns, try designed and executed a digital marketing campaign that generated 10,000 new leads and a 20% increase in sales. 3. Highlight leadership. Even without a formal leadership role, you can highlight leadership skills. Instead of collaborated with team members, try mentored junior team members, reducing onboarding time by 30% and improving team morale. Customize for each job. Generic resumes don't work anymore. Your resume should reflect the skills and experiences that make you the perfect fit for the job. 1. Analyze the job posting. Look for key phrases that describe the ideal candidate. What skills are they looking for? What problems need solving? Tailor your resume accordingly. 2. Mirror their language. If the job posting emphasizes data-driven decision-making or customer-centric solutions, and those apply to you, use them in your resume. 3. Prioritize relevant experience. Not every job deserves the same space. Move the most important details higher up. If the role focuses on leadership, Don't bury your management experience under 5 bullet points of daily tasks. Avoid corporate jargon. Buzzwords weaken your resume. Phrases like synergized, leveraged, and optimized might sound impressive, but they often don't say much. Use clear, strong language. Instead of leverage synergies to optimize cross-functional collaboration, try worked with teams across departments to streamline processes, reducing project timelines by 20%. Show personality. Your resume doesn't have to be dry. A little personality helps, as long as it stays professional. 1. Add a short introduction. A brief section at the top can highlight your strengths and interests. Data-driven marketer with a passion for storytelling and a history of driving growth through creative campaigns. 2. Use strong verbs. Each bullet point should start with an action verb that shows energy. Led a company-wide rebranding initiative. Created a new employee wellness program. Introduced AI tools to improve customer service. 3. Include hobbies. Optional. If your hobbies showcase relevant skills or personality, a brief section at the end can help. Outside of work, I enjoy hiking, photography, and volunteering at animal shelters. Keep it clean and professional content matters, but so does presentation. Formatting mistakes can make a great resume look messy. 1. Keep it to 1 page. Keep it to 1 page if you have under 10 years of experience. 2 pages are fine for extensive careers, but put the most important details on the first page. 2. Use a simple layout. Use a standard font like Calibri or Arial in 11 or 12-point size. Keep margins at 1 inch so everything has room to breathe. Bullet points are your friend, so avoid long paragraphs that make recruiters work too hard. If you don't want to do it yourself, there's help. Best resume builders to streamline the process. If formatting a resume feels like a chore, online resume builders can take the hassle out of it. But if you're paying for one, it should do more than just slap together a basic resume. Look for extra perks like resignation and cover letter templates, access to job boards, or automation tools that make the process smoother. Based on social media reviews and my own experience, here are the best options for different needs. Indeed. Many people use Indeed to build out their resumes. I have as well. But here's the thing. Indeed's resume builder is about as exciting as a plain white piece of paper. It gets the job done, but it won't make the right people stop and take notice. If you need a basic resume quickly, it works. If you're serious about standing out, you'll probably outgrow it fast. What it does well. Fast and free. You can build a resume in minutes, no design skills required. Simple layout. The format is clean, readable, and ATS-friendly. Direct application. Since it's built into Indeed, you can apply to jobs with 1 click. Where it falls short. Minimal customization. You're stuck with a few basic templates, and you can't adjust margins, fonts, or spacing. Clunky formatting. Users report weird spacing issues that stretch resumes onto multiple pages for no reason. No real guidance. There's no AI help or suggestions for stronger phrasing, just blank fields to fill in. PDF-only downloads. You can't edit the file after downloading unless you go back to the builder. Should you use it? If you're applying to jobs directly on Indeed and need something quick and free, it's fine. In addition to the free resume builder, Indeed provides a resume review service priced at $35. This service offers personalized feedback to enhance your resume's effectiveness. There's also a live resume consultation available for $55, which includes a 20-minute video call with a resume expert. If you're applying elsewhere or want a resume that really stands out, you may be better off using other builders. The following is where the real showdown is. Zeddy, the polished pro. Zadie is like the coworker who always has a pen but charges you a coffee to use it. It focuses on professional resumes that aim to please both humans and applicant tracking systems. Zeddy guides you through each section and even has an auto-suggestion feature to cure writer's block by giving pre-written bullet points for your work experience and skills. The templates are clean and conservative, which keeps things ATS-friendly and business formal in style. But how good is it? Let's see. Strengths, resume, building, and tips. Zeddy's interface walks you through filling in each section so you don't feel lost. It provides plenty of prompts and ready-made phrases, making it beginner-friendly. Users appreciate that it makes it easy for anyone to create a professional resume with an extensive library of pre-written phrases and tips, auto-suggestions, and content help. The built-in content wizard suggests bullet points for your roles, sparing you the agony of phrasing your accomplishments. ATS optimization tools. Zeddy includes a resume score checker that scans for issues and keyword alignment. It offers instant feedback on readability, keyword density, and ATS compatibility, which can boost your chances of passing those pesky automated filters. In other words, Zeddy tries to ensure your resume won't vanish into the ATS void. Professional look. The templates, though not flashy, are well-structured and organized, as one user put it. They're divided by experience level, traditional, modern, etc., so you can pick a design that matches your career stage. Weaknesses. Limited creative flair. Zeddy's template selection has a déjà vu quality. Most designs share a similar conservative vibe. If you're creative or just want your resume to reflect your unique personality, Zeddy's designs might feel a bit too dry. Fonts and layouts are pretty much locked in, so no wild experimentation here. Clunky editor at times. Ironically, Zeddy's attempt to be smart can come off as, well, not so smart. The editor sometimes auto-formats things in odd ways. Copy-pasting content can be finicky too, occasionally messing up your text. Paywall on downloads. Zeddy will let you input all your info for free, teasing you with that perfect resume on screen. But when you go to download it, be prepared to pull out your credit card. Many users find it a little misleading that you must pay at the end to actually use the resume you created. There's no free PDF export, only a very basic TXT format, if at all, which can frustrate those who expected a free ride. Subscription model. The pricing isn't the cheapest around, especially if you forget to cancel the trial. Zeddy's 14-day trial costs about $2.70, but it auto-renews to approximately $23.70, charge every 4 weeks, if not canceled. In the long run, that's roughly $20 plus per month. An annual plan works out to about $5.95 per month, billed as a lump of approximately $71. So while you can save by paying up front, those just wanting a one-time resume might find the recurring fee steep. Best use cases. Zeddy is ideal for job seekers in traditional industries. Think finance, law, administration, or anyone who prefers a classic resume format. Entry-level candidates will appreciate the hand-holding and content suggestions, while mid-career professionals get a solid, ATS-approved layout. It's less suited for highly creative roles or startups where a more modern aesthetic is encouraged. Novo Resume, the sleek sophisticate for the modern professional. Novo Resume comes across like the hip design guru. Clean lines, minimal vibes, balancing form and function. This platform offers sleek, modern resume templates with tasteful graphics. Novo Resume's layouts are built with ATS scanners in mind, so pretty graphical elements won't sabotage your keyword parsing. The interface is polished and helpful without hiding the good stuff behind paywalls because they're upfront about costs, and they even let you download a quality resume for free. Here's the breakdown. Strengths: user-friendly guidance. If it's your first time writing a resume, Novo Resume practically holds your hand. It gives contextual tips and live content feedback as you fill out each section. For example, its Content Optimizer will analyze your entries and suggest improvements on the fly. Users found these tips really helpful for learning how to improve their CV content. It's like having a little career coach inside the app, advising you on how to put your best foot forward. Built-in ATS Smarts. All Novo Resume templates are designed to be ATS compatible and eye-catching. The platform manages to create professional ATS resumes that are visually appealing to hiring managers. In practice, that means you can have modern touches like infographics or icons without freaking out the resume bots. It also has a built-in keyword checklist that nudges you if you're missing important details. No hidden fees. Unlike some rivals, Novo Resume's free version isn't just a trap. You can create and download a full one-page resume for free without entering credit card info, and it still looks great. This makes Novo Resume a fantastic option for students or anyone needing a simple one-page resume. The generosity does end if you need more pages or advanced features, but at least they're upfront about it. Modern designs and customization. Novo Resume's templates have a European design flair, clean lines, subtle colors, and even the option to include a touch of graphics or a timeline. While the template selection is relatively small, about 8 free and 16 premium templates, each is highly customizable in layout and section order. The customization options are plentiful. You can tweak colors, add or remove sections, and essentially tailor the template to your needs. Weaknesses. Limited template selection. With quality comes a bit of quantity sacrifice. Novo Resume doesn't give you a lot of choices. There are only a handful of distinct designs. On the bright side, this makes choosing simpler. But if none of those templates speak to your soul, you might feel boxed in. Premium features for multi-page resumes. The free plan caps you at a one-page resume. That's fine for new grads or concise folks, but experienced professionals with lots to showcase might need more pages. To create a 2-page or 3-page resume, CV, you'll have to upgrade to a paid plan. Premium also unlocks cover letters, additional fonts and styles, and the removal of a small Novo Resume watermark. In short, serious job seekers with long histories or those wanting a matching cover letter will likely end up paying, which leads to the next point. Pricing could be lower. Novo Resume's premium pricing sits at $19.99 for 1 month, $39.99 for 3 months, or $99.99 for a year, putting it on the higher side of resume builders. It's a polished product and perhaps knows it, but cost-conscious users might balk at the pricing. If you only need a resume for a quick job hunt, the lack of a cheaper short-term option beyond 1 month is a downside. Occasionally, overzealous helper. Novo Resume's helpfulness can sometimes cross into too much hand-holding. For instance, the editor might enforce certain structures, like not letting you endlessly extend a bullet point or prompting you to keep sections concise. One tester noted the editor was sometimes too helpful in structuring the work experience section, which became a bit of a hindrance when they wanted to do something differently. Best use cases. Novo Resume shines for professionals who want a modern-looking resume without sacrificing ATS compatibility. It's especially popular with people in tech, marketing, design, and other fields where a dash of creativity can help you stand out, but you still need a document that sails through automated screenings. Entry-level and early career users benefit from the free one-page resume, and they can get a slick, HR-approved resume without spending a dime. Mid-level to senior professionals will appreciate the ability to create longer documents and the high-end design. Resume.io, the pragmatic all-rounder for slick, fast resumes. Resume.io is like the reliable sedan of resume builders, not too flashy, very user-friendly, and gets you from point A to point B with minimal hassle. It has a range of beginner-friendly templates organized into 4 categories: creative, professional, modern, simple. The emphasis is on speed and ease. Resume.io has a cover letter builder, a job application tracker, and even an integrated spell check. However, this convenience comes with a familiar catch. Most of the cool features and exports sit behind a paywall once your trial is up. Strength's easy and intuitive interface, Resume.io's builder, is lauded for being straightforward. It uses a clear progress bar and live preview, so you always know where you are in the process and how your changes look in real time. Few other builders offer truly live updating previews as you edit. This saves a ton of back-and-forth toggling. Users frequently mention how easy to use. If you're new to Resume building, Resume.io's UX is a good one to choose. Modern, ATS-friendly templates. The platform provides around 30-plus template designs, with one available on the free plan, covering styles from modern to traditional. They all have a clean, professional aesthetic, nothing that would confuse an ATS. In fact, Resume.io explicitly offers ATS-friendly templates that help meet employer requirements. The designs are visually appealing without being over the top, striking a nice balance between form and function. That said, customization of those templates is limited, mostly just color and font size tweaks. Content suggestions and spell checker. Resume.io doesn't yet use AI to auto-write your resume, but it does include handy libraries of pre-written bullet points for various jobs. If you're stuck on how to word a responsibility or achievement, you can select from suggested phrases to add to your resume. It's a bit like Mad Libs for resumes. Fill in your specifics, and you're good to go. Additionally, there's a built-in grammar/spell checker powered by Grammarly that highlights mistakes as you type. Job Tracking Dashboard. A distinguishing feature of Resume.io is its job application tracker. You can log the jobs you've applied to, interviews, and offers, all within the platform. It's a simple CRM for your job hunt that keeps you organized. While it's not an ATS feature per se, it complements the resume builder by helping you tailor and manage multiple resumes for different applications. Weaknesses: pay-to-download model. In classic fashion, Resume.io's generosity stops at the moment of truth, downloading your resume. You can create a resume for free and even enjoy a 7-day trial for a couple bucks. But beyond a bare-bones text file, PDF-1 Word exports require a subscription. Several users have expressed frustration upon realizing I had to pay to download that extremely posh resume they just built. The free plan only lets you download in TXT format, which strips all the nice formatting. So, effectively, Resume.io is free to try, but not free to use fully. Keep this in mind to avoid unpleasant surprises. Limited customization. If you love fine-tuning design elements, Resume.io might feel restrictive. You can pick a template and change its primary color and font size, but you cannot adjust layouts, margins, or fonts beyond what's built in. The idea is to prevent users from accidentally messing up the template's formatting, thus keeping it ATS-friendly. But the flip side is all Resume.io resumes have a certain uniform look. You won't be able to, say, add a creative infographic or move sections around freely. In short, it's a bit what you see is what you get. Subscription costs. Resume.io's pricing is somewhat middle of the road, but the structure can be confusing. The popular option is a 7-day trial for $2.95, which auto-renews to a approximately $19.95 monthly plan if not canceled. Alternatively, you can opt for a longer plan, around $44.95 for 6 months, or $74.95 for 12 months. This translates to roughly $7.50 per month on the 6-month plan, or $6.25 per month on the annual plan, cheaper than month to month. There's also a truly free forever tier, but again, it's severely limited. One resume, text-only download. If you're only looking to make a single resume and be done, the trial plus cancel route is your cheapest bet. Occasional glitches. No software is perfect. A few users have reported minor bugs, like changes not saving immediately or the builder freezing up momentarily. These incidents aren't widespread, but they do happen. For example, the job tracker might lack advanced analytics, or the interface might hiccup on an older browser. Best use cases. Resume.io is a great fit for entry-level to mid-career professionals across a broad range of industries. It's perfect for students or recent grads building their first resume, or creatives. If you need to churn out multiple tailored resumes quickly, as in you're applying to many jobs, Resume.io's efficient workflow and job tracker is perfect. Kick Resume, the stylish storyteller with a toolbox of tricks. My personal favorite, Kick Resume comes onto the scene with gusto. It's the resume builder that wants you to look good and tells you it's okay to get a little help from AI. In many best resume builder roundups, Kick Resume often takes the crown. It even snagged Forbes' Best Overall Resume Builder title for its blend of AI and design finesse. This tool offers a collection of designer-quality templates, over 40 premium ones, plus a few free. The vibe is very modern. You can also build a personal website, browse real resume examples for inspiration, and use AI features to auto-write content. Kick Resume is proudly user-friendly, especially on mobile, and with a recently redesigned interface that feels polished. Strengths: beautiful, highly customizable templates. Kick Resume's templates are created by professional typographers, and it shows they're visually striking and cover a wide range of styles. From minimalist black and white layouts to colorful creative designs, there's something for every taste. You get 4 templates for free and 40 plus more with premium. Unlike some builders that limit editing, Kick Resume lets you modify layouts quite a bit. You can change colors, fonts, icons, and even adjust margins or add sections. In one expert review, it was noted that Kick Resume offers several resume templates to choose from, but cautioned that many focus on design over content. The key is you have the freedom to pick a template that's ATS-friendly, but simple, or go for something more avant-garde if you're not as worried about automated screening. Essentially, if you want your resume to stand out in the pile by looks alone, Kick Resume gives you the means to do it. AI Writer and Smart Tools. Kick Resume uses AI really well to speed up the resume creation process. It features an AI Resume Writer, GPT-4 powered, that can generate an entire resume draft based on a simple questionnaire or job title you input. You can also have it write individual sections or bullet points for you, similar to Resi's approach. Additionally, there's an AI cover letter writer and the ever-important AI resignation letter generator. Perhaps most uniquely, Kick Resume offers an AI resume checker that compares your resume against successful examples and gives you a score plus tips for improvement. Users often mention that these AI features make creating a resume from scratch quick and easy. And yes, it even has an AI career coach and job interview question generator built in. Lots of guidance and examples. Beyond the tech bells and whistles, Kick Resume provides a bunch of human-created resources. There are 20,000 plus pre-written bullet point phrases in its database to help describe your work experience. It also has a huge collection of resume examples from people who landed jobs at top companies such as Tesla, Google, and the like, which you can browse for inspiration or even import content from. The app interface itself is sprinkled with prompts at each step, ensuring you're never flying blind. If you opt for the premium plan, Kick Resume is one of the few that offers a human proofreading service. You can have a real expert review your resume for about $4. And for students, teachers, Kick Resume extends 6 months of premium for free, underlining its commitment to helping those just starting out. Effective results. Ultimately, the proof is in the pudding, or, in this case, the interviews and job offers. Kick Resume boasts that it's helped over 2 million people get hired. While that's hard to verify, there are plenty of success anecdotes. One user reported, "I created a new version, and within 3 days, I had interviews with GitLab, Salesforce, Heroku, Red Hat, and IBM. Another compared its value favorably, saying it cost 700% less than some professional services and still delivered an excellent resume. Its Trustpilot score is consistently high, around 4.6 out of 5. From an ATS perspective, many Kick Resume templates are ATS compliant, and the AI checker helps ensure content won't get lost in translation. Weaknesses. Free version limitations. While you can use Kick Resume for free with no time limit, the free options are limited. You only get access to 4 basic templates and a restricted set of customization choices. You can create unlimited resumes for free and even download them, but only using those simple templates. The moment you fall in love with one of the fancier designs or want to change a font, you'll need to go premium. The good news is premium features are clearly labeled in the editor, so you won't unknowingly design something and then get paywalled at download. Still, the temptation to upgrade is strong once you see the gorgeous premium templates. Design overkill potential. Those beautiful templates can be a double-edged sword. A critique from a resume expert was that Kick Resume's templates focus too much on design, and you have to pick carefully to ensure content isn't overshadowed. In other words, it's possible to make a resume that looks so fancy that it might distract or slightly confuse an ATS. For example, some templates have 2-column layouts for infographics that, if not used thoughtfully, could hinder an ATS from reading in the correct order. Kick Resume does try to mitigate this, and again, their ATS checker will flag issues. AI quirks. The AI resume writer can sometimes generate content that's off-mark. One tester found the AI-suggested summary included odd personal lines, being a book lover, great for an author bio, not for a resume, and a generic list of buzzwords that didn't actually highlight any real skills. In short, the AI may produce a decent first draft, but it won't be perfect. You'll need to edit the AI output to ensure it's accurate and appropriately professional. Also, Kick Resume's AI resume analysis is a premium feature, so to get the full benefit of AI optimization, you'll be paying, which might irk those who see other tools include that in their free version. Pricing for premium. Kick Resume's premium runs at $19 per month, or if you commit longer, about $13 per month quarterly, or $7 per month annually, billed up front. For what you get, many say it's fair, especially considering you can cancel anytime, and even the monthly price is less than some 2-week trials out there. If you have ongoing needs or want to use the website builder, cover letters, etc., the annual at $84 total is a great deal. Again, students and educators can get 6 months free, but if you're not a student and you want all the goodies, be ready to invest roughly the cost of a nice dinner out. Best use cases. Kick Resume is perfect for job seekers who want their resume to make a visual impact while still being effective. It's a top choice for fields like marketing, design, media, or tech startups, and anywhere a bit of personal brand and creativity is welcomed. If you're mid-career or executive, Kick Resume can still serve you well. You'll benefit from the advanced customization to fine-tune a sophisticated look for your extensive experience. Choosing a resume builder ultimately comes down to your priorities. In the end, they can all help you build a resume that gets you in the door. Each just has a different personality. Whether you need the NBA coach, the savvy designer, the reliable assistant, the AI guru, the creative genius, or the registered nurse, there's a resume builder here that can play that role. Now onto what the plan should be. Give proper notice, but don't drag it out. The standard move is 2 weeks' notice. 4 if you've somehow made yourself irreplaceable, though that's not always a compliment. It might just mean they've gotten used to you picking up the slack, and that's their problem, not yours. You're not obligated to train your own replacement or spend a month tidying up everyone else's mess, so don't feel pressured to overstay. That pressure can creep in. Maybe a boss hints at how tough it'll be without you, or a coworker lays on the guilt. Shake it off. Let your boss know you'll help wrap up important tasks, the stuff that keeps things from falling apart right away, then exit with your dignity intact. Spell it out if you have to. I'll finish this project by next Friday. Or, I'll update the main files before I go. Works fine. Keep it clear and keep it limited. If your workplace tries to squeeze every last drop out of your goodwill, gently remind them you're there to make the transition smoother, not to become the permanent backup. They might push. Can you just do this one more thing? Might come up, and it's tempting to cave, especially if you're used to saying yes. Don't. A simple, I'm focusing on wrapping up what I can in my time left, draws the line without starting a fight. Burnout's already taken enough. You don't need to hand over your final days too. 2 weeks is fair. Plenty of places limp along with less notice than that. They'll adjust, and you'll walk out without the weight of their chaos clinging to you. Stay firm, and it's done. Securing references, without regret. Even in jobs that felt like an endurance test, references can come in handy. A friendly coworker or a supervisor who respects your work is often willing to vouch for you. Someone who saw you keep it together when things got rough can help. Ask them a week or so before you officially leave, not when you're halfway out the door with your stuff in a box. Give them a heads up so they're not caught off guard, and show appreciation for any help. They're putting their name on the line to support you, and a quick, I'd really value your backing for my next step. Thanks for considering it. Keeps it low-key but real. Maybe mention what you'd like them to highlight, like your knack for meeting deadlines or staying calm under fire, so they're ready if a call comes. That said, if the entire building is a dumpster fire, it's okay to lean on references from previous gigs instead. Not every job deserves a say in your future. Some places are too broken to trust. The worst references are the ones who might sabotage you out of spite. Maybe they didn't like how you worked, or they felt slighted when you gave notice. You don't need that risk hanging over you. People move around a lot. That annoying manager might land at a future employer of yours down the road. Keep your exit free of soap opera drama if you can. No yelling matches or big scenes in the break room. Keep it simple. A quiet, steady goodbye means you're not burning bridges you might need to cross later. Transfer your benefits and accounts. Time to do the less thrilling but necessary stuff. Make sure you gather your last pay stub, check on any unpaid bonuses, and see how vacation time is handled. Don't let those slip away because you didn't ask. That pay stub is your proof of what you're owed, and bonuses might be tucked in there, waiting to be claimed. Vacation time is tricky. Some places cash it out, and some don't, and you won't know unless you look into it. If you have a retirement plan, like a pension or RRSP, figure out how to roll it into a new account instead of letting it sit until you remember it exists. It's not hard. Usually, a form or a call gets it done, but it takes a little effort to track down the details, like finding an old email or digging through a handbook. The more you handle now, the less future you has to regret. Leave those loose ends dangling, and they'll nag at you later. Maybe it's a missed payout or a plan you can't find when you need it. Burnout is heavy enough without loose ends nagging at you after you're gone. Set aside a bit of time. Half an hour after work, maybe over coffee, can sort it out. Check online, call whoever's in charge of it, and get the answers straight. It's dull, sure, but it's like clearing a cluttered desk before you leave. You'll feel lighter knowing nothing's left to chase you down. Using your last days wisely. Spend your final shifts tying up loose ends, projects, email threads, anything someone else might need after you go. Write brief how-tos if your role's complicated. Nothing long, just a few lines, like, "This file's the latest version," or "Here's how this system works," can help. It's not about rewriting the rulebook. It's about leaving enough so they're not lost. If there's a coworker who's not a soul-sucking vampire, maybe show them where you keep those important files. Could be a folder on a shared drive, a note in a drawer, or wherever you stash the good stuff. You're not there to play teacher for the whole crew, just to point someone decent in the right direction. Doing this not only makes you look gracious, it also cuts down on the onslaught of, "Where did you put that spreadsheet?" messages you might get after you've left. Those follow-ups can drag you back when you're trying to move on. Annoying little pings pull at your peace. Burnout loves that mess, that feeling of never really being free. Wrap it up tight, and it's one less hook they've got in you. You're not fixing their whole operation. Just leave it workable, like handing off a task list at the end of a long day. Take something with you, besides bad vibes. Before you peace out, take stock of what you actually gained. Whether it's leadership skills you picked up by accident, maybe stepping up when no one else would, or the realization that you can survive 6 passive-aggressive emails before lunch, there's something worth keeping. Even in a messy workplace, you pick up bits if you look for them. Could be how you learn to spot trouble early, or keep your cool when everyone else lost theirs. Write them down while they're fresh. Grab a pen, tap it into your phone, or use whatever keeps it handy. Don't let it slip away in the rush of leaving. Future employers love a good lessons from adversity narrative. It shows you're not just bolting, you're building. Turn dealt with constant chaos into handles pressure with focus, and it's gold. But it's not just for them. It's for you, too. Seeing what you've pulled from the grind puts burnout in its place. It didn't take everything. You're walking away with more than frustration, skills, smarts, and stuff you earned through the slog. Hold on to that, and it's a boost for whatever's ahead. Not just a weight you're dropping. It's yours to carry forward, proof you made it through. Debrief yourself. After your last day, take a moment to sit with what happened. Did certain red flags pop up early on? Maybe a hint of trouble in that first meeting, or a workload that never let up. Did you handle conflict the way you wanted, pushing back when it mattered, or letting some stuff slide when it didn't? Think it over, not to stew, but to sort it out. Was there a moment you could have walked sooner, or one you're proud you stuck through? It's like piecing together what went down so you're sharper next time. You'll be clear-eyed, not caught off guard again. Use these thoughts to decide what you'll look for or avoid in your next job. Was it the hours that wore you down, the people who didn't pull their weight, or the feeling you had no voice? Maybe you want a place that respects your time, or gives you room to weigh in. Write that down, too. Burnout's a teacher if you let it be, showing you where the lines are. This isn't about regrets. It's about knowing what fits you now. That kind of self-check keeps you from tumbling into another rough spot without a plan. You've got this chance to reset. Make it count for what's ahead. Chapter 9. Gen Z Burnout. The workforce is broken, and they know it. Overworked, underpaid, and done with it. Now that we've covered the 8 steps to thriving in a messy workplace, let's shift focus to a generation that's doing things differently. Gen Z grew up hearing that hard work leads to success. Get a degree, land a job, and life will fall into place. Instead, they entered a workforce that demands everything and offers little in return. They are drowning in student debt while rent and groceries skyrocket past their paychecks. The response from employers? Work harder, stay late, hustle more. Instead of wearing themselves out, they are doing something previous generations rarely dared to do. They are walking away. A UKG survey found that 83% of Gen Z frontline workers in North America feel burned out. That is not just work stress. It is exhaustion, detachment, and a growing belief that the system is broken. More than a third say burnout is so bad they are considering quitting. A separate Deloitte study found that nearly 40% of Gen Z reports constant stress, and for most, work makes it worse. Only half feel mentally okay, and that number keeps dropping. This is not a handful of whiny young workers. It is an entire generation saying, the way we work is not sustainable. Why Gen Z is burning out faster than anyone else. Burnout does not happen in isolation. It's not because Gen Z is soft or lazy, though some would love to frame it that way. They grew up in an era of digital connection, economic instability, and a global crisis that upended careers before they even started. Older workers can log off. Generation Z cannot. Work emails follow them to bed. Messages ping after hours. Even when they are off the clock, social media reminds them that others are launching businesses, getting promotions, and working remotely from luxury resorts. No matter how hard they work, it never feels like enough. Then there is the money problem. Money makes it harder. Boomers could buy a house on one paycheck, raise kids, and still have savings. That world doesn't exist anymore. According to Self-Financial, Gen Z is paying an average of $2,800 for a one-bedroom apartment. That's before utilities, groceries, transportation, and loan payments that swallow whatever's left. A steady job barely covers the basics, let alone gives them a shot at saving for a home, retirement, or even a safety net. Forget the dream of financial security. For many, just staying afloat is the new goal. A lot of them are staying with their parents, because for many, it's the only realistic option. A 2022 Daily Pay poll found that 54% of 18 to 25-year-olds have never moved out, a massive jump from just 9% in 2022, 1971. And it's not just young adults postponing independence. Many who left are moving back. Burnout is hitting them so hard that living alone feels impossible. A 2023 Harris poll found that 45% of 18 to 29-year-olds are back with family, and nearly a third don't plan on leaving anytime soon, according to the New York Times. But not everyone goes that route. Some choose roommates over parents, whether because family ties aren't strong or they want more control over their space. They pick places where they call the shots, splitting rent with friends or strangers. A 2023 Pew report found that about 25% of 18 to 29-year-olds live this way, chasing independence even when money is tight. They make it work by pooling costs. With an average rent of $1,910 a month, according to Self-Financial, they split bills, rely on side gigs, since 75% have one, and keep a close eye on spending with 30% tracking every dollar. It spills into life outside of work, too. Dating is simple for them. Low effort, low cost. They stick to coffee or walks, swiping through apps where, according to Hinge, 90% say they want a real connection. Burnout has stripped away the energy for anything fancy. The idea of dressing up, making reservations, and dropping cash on a night out feels like too much energy when just making it through the week takes everything they've got. Starting a family? That's on hold too. More than 50% are delaying it, according to Newsweek, because money's tight and the future feels too uncertain to bring kids into. The Population Reference Bureau reports that their teen birth rate is only a third of what millennials was. Another sign that this generation isn't rushing into anything they can't afford. Many Gen Zers started their careers at the worst possible time. The pandemic froze hiring, wiped out job security, and made an already brutal cost of living even harder to keep up with. Wages didn't just lag behind, they fell further out of sync with reality. Older generations had stable career paths. They could start in an entry-level job, work their way up, and expect raises that actually made a difference. Gen Z isn't getting that. They are stuck in low-paying, high-stress roles with nowhere to go. Promotions are rare, pay increases barely cover inflation, and job hopping, once frowned upon, is now one of the only ways to chase a livable wage. Gen Z is rejecting the toxic work culture that broke previous generations. Older workers saw burnout as proof of dedication. Gen Z sees it for what it is: exploitation. They watched their parents sacrifice everything for companies that laid them off at the first sign of trouble. They are not interested in repeating the cycle. If a workplace is toxic, they leave. If their mental health is suffering, they set boundaries. If they are not paid fairly, they organize. And that is exactly what they are doing. Gen Z workers are leading union efforts at Starbucks, Amazon, Home Depot, and even Major League Baseball. They are not just asking for raises and benefits. They are challenging outdated workplace norms that demand loyalty while offering none in return. Isaiah Thomas, a young organizer in Alabama, saw his parents work exhausting shifts just to survive. Now, he is organizing Amazon workers so future generations do not have to make the same sacrifices. All of us in Gen Z saw what our parents went through and said, "Fulmight, that. We are not doing that," he said in a recent interview. Unlike boomers, who prioritize stability, Gen X, who navigated corporate unpredictability, or millennials, who endured unpaid internships and hustle culture in hopes of advancement. Gen Z refuses to stay in jobs out of obligation or blind loyalty. They have watched companies demand everything while offering little in return, and they are not interested in sacrificing their well-being for a job that sees them as disposable. If employers refuse to evolve by offering fair pay, work-life balance, and a healthy environment, Gen Z will not wait for things to improve. They will either organize for better conditions or walk away entirely, taking their talent and ambition elsewhere. Why companies are losing young workers and how they can stop it. Companies handing out snacks or quick perks aren't keeping up. Gen Z wants real change. No late-night messages. No pressure to stay past hours. Pay that actually matches the work. I've watched young nurses burn out fast. The long shifts, constant stress, and lack of boundaries drain them quicker than older colleagues. Forbes reports that 35% check out mentally because toxic workplaces hit them harder than the ones I've worked in before. Business Insider points out that they get fed up faster. Correos found that 72% will walk away if there's no flexibility. Businesses that want to keep young talent need to respect boundaries. If they ignore these needs, they won't just struggle to retain Gen Z, they'll lose them. That means no more pretending burnout is a personal problem instead of a workplace issue. Fair pay is not negotiable. Expecting workers to go above and beyond without compensating them is a guaranteed way to lose them. Companies are adapting because Gen Z won't stick around for jobs that drag them down. Forbes suggests AI could help lighten their workload, making roles more manageable. But full-scale change won't happen overnight. It could take anywhere from 5 to 20 years for AI-driven systems and robots to roll out everywhere. Hiring practices need a reality check. Attention, older generations. Hiring practices need to catch up. Gen Z isn't impressed by outdated degree requirements or meaningless years of experience. They've spent years mastering digital skills, launching businesses, and building brands without ever stepping into a traditional classroom. They aren't going to waste time applying for jobs that still demand a 4-year degree for an entry-level role when they already have the real-world experience to do the work. If companies want to attract the best young talent, they need to focus on skills and results, not outdated credentials. More than anything, they want workplaces that invest in their growth. That means promotions based on skill, not tenure. It means opportunities to gain new skills through mentorship and training. It means clear career progression instead of vague promises of potential. If a company sees them as disposable, they won't stick around. If they aren't given a path forward, they'll find one somewhere else. This is not a trend, it is the future of work. The people calling Gen Z entitled for setting boundaries and demanding fair pay are the same ones who spent decades normalizing burnout. But this generation refuses to pretend that exhaustion is a badge of honor. They've seen firsthand that loyalty to a job doesn't pay off, and they're choosing their well-being over a broken system. Gen Z isn't asking for anything unreasonable. They expect companies to treat them like humans, not disposable labor. The employers who figure that out will attract some of the most creative, driven, and capable young workers. The ones that don't, they'll keep losing talent to workplaces that actually listen. Chapter 10. Burnout ends when you say it does. Let the real balance begin. If you've stuck with me this far, you've probably seen bits of yourself in these pages. Maybe you're in a job that wears you down, caught up in office games you never signed up for. Maybe you're stretched thin, undervalued, or just running on empty. I've been there too, juggling patient crises and personalities in ICUs, running on fumes and stale coffee. This book isn't about fixing every broken workplace. It's about making sure you don't break along with it. Burnout stops when you decide it does. That's the point of all this. Burnout isn't loud. It's the slow drip of energy fading, patience thinning, and your job tagging along home like a shadow you can't shake. It's resentment building in silence, tiredness creeping in, until a normal workday feels like a memory. You've read how it shrinks your focus, frays your nerves, and fogs your mind. That's not news now. You've felt it. The question is what you do next. I'm going to sum up this book in a way my nursing colleagues will feel the most. Because let's be real, nurses are some of the most gaslighted people in healthcare. They stay in toxic jobs because they're made to feel like they have to. Back in Chapter 1, Step 1, we started with the basics, spotting burnout for what it is. Not just stress, but a weight that drags you under if you let it. You asked yourself the hard questions. Do you dread starting your day? Does your work feel pointless? If you nodded along, you weren't alone. I've heard nurses whisper the same things in medication rooms between brutal shifts. But recognizing burnout was just step 1. Now, you've got more in your hands. Chapter 2, Step 2, showed you how you show up. Too nice and people lean on you too hard. Too sharp and they keep their distance. Finding that middle ground, where you're respected without being overworked, takes practice. I learned it fast as a travel nurse, blending in without getting stuck. You don't have to completely change who you are. Use the tools you've learned so work doesn't run you ragged. Then there's reading the room, like we covered in Chapter 3, Step 3. Every workplace has its players. The ones with pull, the ones who watch, the ones who complain. Knowing who's who saves you grief. I've walked into units and sized up the crew in a shift. Know-it-alls, wallflowers, the snack bringer everyone loves. You don't have to play their game. You just need to know it's there so you're not caught off guard. Connection came up in Chapter 4, Step 4. Some people need a thank you, others a hand with a task. Figuring out how you connect and how others do keeps you from spinning your wheels. I've brought coffee to nurses who would have rather had a listening ear. Miss that, and you're left wondering why you feel weird even when you're trying. Burnout feeds on that disconnect. When you get it right, it's less about forcing relationships and more about finding balance. In Chapter 5, Step 5, we pulled those pieces together. Use your warmth, your know-how, your read on people to deal with bosses and coworkers. It's not complicated. I've delegated in a pinch, kept my cool with a flustered charge nurse, and it works. You don't fix the chaos. You steer through it. That's how you cut burnout down, by deciding where your energy goes. Pacing yourself from Chapter 6, Step 6, matters too. Flush out stress with a walk or a laugh. Set rituals to leave work behind. I'd box breathe in my car after a shift, telling my body it's over. You can't keep running full tilt. Gen Z gets this, like we saw in Chapter 9. They're burning out faster. 52% worn out, according to Forbes, and they're saying no to toxic jobs. You don't have to wait for their revolution. Start now. AI is shifting things, as Chapter 7. Step 7, laid out. It's taking over the grunt work, and companies will lean on it more, especially with Gen Z pushing back. I would have loved virtual nursing, handling all the missed charting in Epic. If you're a nurse using computerized systems, you might too. But it's not here fully yet, maybe 5 to 20 years before it's everywhere. Until then, keep your skills sharp. Be the one who adapts, not the one replaced. That's how you stay ahead of burnout instead of just surviving it. Chapter 8, Step 8. Was your out? Leaving isn't weak if the job is killing you. I've walked away from contracts when the stress wasn't worth it, and I've helped you plan that move. Cash saved, resume ready, references lined up. Gen Z is doing it too, leaving places that won't bend. You've got the steps. Use them when you need to. Burnout doesn't own you when you've got a way out. Work is always a push and pull. Some play it better than others. The smart ones spot who matters and make their work count without groveling. I've seen nurses cozy up to managers, gain favor, and then their shifts always seem easier. It's knowing when to push and when to let go. Some fights aren't worth it. Some people won't budge. Pick what keeps you steady. Here's the thing, no job is forever. Even if you're not quitting tomorrow, stay ready. Keep money aside, your resume current, your skills fresh. I've left nursing jobs, or switched units, and done travel nursing. Always with a plan. The best career moves aren't desperate escapes. They're steps you choose. Burnout ends when you stop seeing it as the cost of getting by. You've got tools now: how you act, who you trust, when you leave. They're not magic, they're decisions. So, what's it going to be? Stay where you are, tweaking what you can, or step towards something better? This book has done its part. It has shown you burnout is real, given you ways to push back, and pointed to the door if you need it. Gen Z is fighting for a better deal. You can fight for yours. Decide, then do it. Balance starts when you say so. About the author. Andrea Gomez, known as Miss Jag since her high school track days, learned early on that speed and discipline can open doors. Her talent on the track earned her a full scholarship to the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, where she became an All-American. After earning degrees in psychology and English, she shifted gears to nursing and returned to Toronto to begin her career. She became a registered nurse in 1996, completed her intensive care training a year later, and has spent decades working in the ICU, where long hours and high pressure are part of the job. Seeing how burnout affects nurses, she made it a priority to help others manage the demands of their work without sacrificing their well-being. That focus led her to writing. She has published books and articles on burnout, stress, and maintaining balance in high-pressure environments. She also writes about workplace stress and job burnout on Medium, medium.com/@msjag416. Whether at the bedside, writing, or staying active, her goal remains the same: helping people take care of themselves in demanding careers. Read more at linktree/msjag.